Ruben Amorim has done his press conference today for the Leeds match coming up on Sunday, and in which the press conference he said that he doesn't seem like there are any talks going on about transfers for the January transfer window. January transfer window just started, so there's a bit of a take on both sides. We're going to get into this. There's a multitude of transfer stories. All the while, Ruben is saying that there isn't really any talks and there might not be any movement. There is a multitude of transfer stories coming out today about potential signings and just transfer news in general. So we're going to get into that. But I'm going to kick off the show by pretty much talking about how, and I've said this multiple times, there is no possible way INEOS, for me, get away with not signing some sort of catalyst in January. It doesn't need to break the bank. It doesn't need to be 80 million, but there are deals out there that you can do, and it is unacceptable if we end this January transfer window with no signings and no help. Okay, we have a mini injury crisis going on right now, or an injury crisis. It's not mini. We're missing 7 out of the 11 starting players, and we got 3 of them at AFCON. So, we're in a period where we might struggle. We might drop some points where we shouldn't necessarily be doing so, or maybe we wouldn't do so if we had more of our players available. Matthijs de Ligt has an issue with his back that has kept him out for way longer than he was supposed to be. We don't know what's going on with Harry Maguire, but he's probably got something along the same lines that's keeping him out for much longer. Kobe, we thought would be back, hopefully for Wolves, and definitely be here for Leeds. Ruben has said that nobody's going to be back. So now we're going to have to go play a derby against an informed Leeds team in a hostile environment, because it's going to be hostile. And we're down to the bare bones at this moment in time. So it's going to be a good show. It's going to be jam-packed, I promise. There's a lot of stuff that we need to cover. There's a lot of things that also there's this discussion in the fan base. Again, I'm going to have to go and call out a good section of the fan base, because as we know, Enzo Maresca has left, been sacked, whatever you want to call it, from Chelsea, and our fan base decides they want to go into La La Land again with this, because now this guy is gone, and they want to compare him to Ruben and all this stupid stuff. So we're going to get into that as well. Please make sure you smash the like button. It is important to the channel. It helps the channel grow. If you want to support us, that is the biggest way you can help us, by obviously smashing the like button. It gets more Reds to see it. It gets more Reds part of the community. So please make sure you do that. It is massively important. Get that done for us, people. And also just a happy new year to everybody. Happy new year to the day ones. Happy new year to the new people that are going to be joining us on our journey and joining the family and joining the community. Hope everybody is good. Hope everybody had a good New Year's Eve. And hope everybody is safe and sound and good to go. But listen, I'm just going to get straight into this right now. Also, I forgot to mention, please make sure, if you enjoy the content, subscribe, of course, and join the family. We are at 3,200. I know the counter says 60, but we're actually at 3,270. We're on our way to 3,500. That is our goal, so make sure you're doing that, and hit the notification bell icon. But in the presser, I watched the presser today, as I always do, because I watch the pressers. I don't like to read the pressers. I want to see Ruben. I want to see his facial expressions. I want to hear his tone. I want to hear the questions that are being asked to him. I want to hear his response. So I watch every single one. And this one is a bit like how it was maybe a few weeks ago, maybe about a month ago. He looked a bit defeated. He looked a bit pissed. He looked a bit, just not happy in general. And he was asked about the transfer window. And this is the exact quote that he had here. He was asked on January transfers. He said that the transfer window is not going to change. We have no conversation to have any change in the squad. Which goes both ways, if you're taking his comment. It means no players out, and it means no players in. Now, we have been being drip fed, sort of, that, in September, October, it was sort of, oh, we're definitely going to get somebody in January. Then once we started getting to November, December, then we started getting drip fed. Oh, our main targets aren't really available, so there might not be a lot of movement. And there's only so much that we could probably do. If we do something, it would have to be after AFCON, cutting the window down to 2 weeks. And also, if anybody's going to come in and if anybody's going to leave, then we're going to have to need a replacement to bring them in to replace them. So it's all over the place right now. It's all over the place. All in the meantime, while Ruben is saying we're not, there's no conversations going on right now, and it doesn't seem like any movement is on the cards to happen. And you would, listen, for United, January is coming. Okay? January is open. There should be at least one guy that you could probably go in for right now, immediately. I mean, we're a massive club. We have a large scouting regime. Okay? We're not a championship club. We can go and find somebody out there to go and sort of target. And again, my argument this whole time has been they don't got to break the bank. It doesn't got to be a £100 million signing. It doesn't have to be an £80 million signing. But you cannot tell me that there is not a player like Sonny Lemons out there that we can go and bring into this football club in January that would make a difference, that's not going to break the bank, that's not going to destroy the transfer budget, and is going to give us a push for the rest of the season, okay? His inclusion, him coming in, and if they did that deal earlier, I'll tell you this as well, if they did that Sonny Lemons deal earlier and they didn't leave it so late, okay, we could have used him from the beginning of the season, which we needed, all right? We needed that from the very beginning of the season. We played a bunch of matches because he wasn't ready because they signed him late. Okay, so if they got that signing in earlier, we could have benefited from that from the very beginning of the season instead of playing a bunch of matches with a goalkeeper that we knew wasn't going to be good enough and the other goalkeeper that we didn't want at this football club. And the same goes for now. All right? It's quite obvious when we got to about November, all right, that we needed something, okay? And it was probably obvious from the beginning of the season because there was a hole left from the summer window and that we needed a midfielder. I will not accept us getting nobody in January. It is unacceptable. If they finish this transfer window with no players coming into this football club that can make some sort of an impact, then it is the ultimate disgrace. And INEOS, in my opinion, out the fucking door immediately. They've lost me because I think the detriment of not doing this, you are fucking the club, you are fucking the rest of the season, you are fucking next season, and you are fucking Ruben Amorim. And I will not accept that at all. I think it would be an absolute disgrace, a disservice. It's disgusting, and it's no better than the Glazers. So, while I understand it's the first day, second day of the transfer window, and things can change. And I understand at the same time that, listen, maybe Ruben's being told to say this. Maybe, they don't want to sort of parade around that we're going to be doing business or we're looking to do business. There's an aspect to this that sort of... There's an aspect of this that sort of makes me feel like, listen, there was a point where Sir Jim said we were going to go broke. There was a point that we were being told that United were going to massively struggle to do business in the summer. We ended up doing the business. So maybe it's a little bit of a play. Maybe it's like what one of our community members once said, maybe about a month ago or something. Grace, she said that, maybe they are sort of feeding this line into that they're trying to sort of play both sides and that, they don't hype up the expectations too high. That way, if nothing does end up happening, the letdown will be, probably less because everybody right now is probably a little bit panicky and probably feels like they're not too confident in United actually doing business right now. So if we end up not doing business, the damage would be a lot less than if you promise to do business and end up not doing business. At the same time, the flip side of that would be, well, if you're setting the bar low and you end up doing one deal or two deals, well, most people will be happy because everybody will look at it and say, well, we were literally about to do nothing. We never do nothing. And we ended up doing a deal or, two deals. So now we're happy because we did something. But to me, obviously, it would matter on the quality of those signings. It can't be Wout Weghorst. It can't be Agalos. It can't, it can't be to that level. That's not real. That's fake. That's not something that's going to help us. That's not going to give us the push that we need. to actually secure top 4, because it is there for the taking and we're still in the conversation. So I think for Ruben, maybe he's being told to say this. Maybe he's, he's being told from his bosses to not say that we are looking to do business, or don't give any hints to the media. Some people might say that's him being a puppet. Some people might say that he should be coming out and demanding it. Listen, I kind of get it, but also at the same time, I mean, we're not in the job. We can demand and say whatever we want. He's in the job. I think it's very different when you're in the job. He might not be able to do it. There might be ramifications for that. So there might be a possibility that they're telling him to push this sort of narrative for him not to sort of publicly demand or put extra pressure on the club, and that they're looking to do it. My concern is that he looked like a very unhappy man. He looked like a man that went to his bosses and said, listen, we need something in January. I need something. This team needs something extra. We need to go and do something. I'm asking you to get me somebody. And he looks like a man that they told him it ain't going to happen. That's what it looks like to me. When I watched him today, he looked not normal Ruben. He looked like he was basically told, to paraphrase, sorry, you're fucked. Because I think him being the manager, and I think me being a fan, and me trying to put myself in his position at this moment in time, looking at that squad, I would be going to them and asking them for a transfer or more, as many as we can. But, at least one that can have a significant impact for us. And if they told me that it doesn't look like it's going to happen for whatever reason they want to give me, lack of funds, the summer window, this and that, I would be walking out of there, and I would be saying to myself, we're fucked. We are absolutely fucked. They have fucked me. They have fucked me. They have fucked this season. It's, we're screwed. We are screwed. Because it's not just about United doing business. It's also about the fact that everybody else that's around us is about to do business. And we've been here 7 times already. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 times. We've done this every single season post Sir Alex Ferguson. Every single season, except for one, and it was Bruno Fernandes in January. That was the player that was good money, had an instant impact, and helped us for the rest of the season, okay? It was 1 out of 12. So these guys, I'm telling you now, these guys, they cannot. It is 100% unacceptable if they don't do business. And Ruben will suffer for it, and Ruben will probably get the sack, because I don't expect him to succeed. When I look at the rest of the league, and I expect everybody else to be a real football club, because everybody is trying to improve, okay? I can't take us seriously anymore. I can't take them seriously anymore, because it's always by their actions. They can say all this and that, and they can talk about the future, and they can talk about the summer, but when there is something in front of you, and you choose not to act, or you choose not to help us in a way, then you are full of shit, okay? So they have a job. Their job is to go and get somebody, and it's not just for Ruben, it's for this football club. This football club, regardless of Ruben Amorim, needs better and more players. Well, I don't know how many times I have to say this, but we need to constantly be trying to upgrade, okay? Our squad is not good enough for the heights that we want to reach, all right? We are in a transition. We're trying to build something. We're struggling because we don't have all the pieces and we're inconsistent. So we need to strengthen. We constantly need to strengthen. And we need to strengthen also because everybody else is going to strengthen, and few of them are better than us. The rest of them are right up our ass in the league table. And January will be the momentum shift that happens. If United stands still, we will go backwards, and the people behind us will catch up to us, probably surpass us, and the ones in front of us will get further away from us. And that's when the whole season goes to shit. Okay? It is always a turning point. This period is always a turning point. The ones that spend money, the ones that do business, the ones that are serious about trying to achieve their best season they possibly can, they go out and spend the money. in January. They go and get something done. They don't use the shortness of it to make excuses. They don't try to put it off and kick the can down the road, because kicking the can down the road in this situation doesn't make sense, because ultimately, if we don't finish in Europe and we have another bad season and we're outside of Europe, kiss that summer window goodbye, because that summer window is going to be shit. It's going to be absolutely shit. We won't have the money. We won't have the attraction. And you're doing 2 years in a row without Europe. Okay, we're going to lose top targets. You could kiss Elliot Anderson goodbye. You can kiss Adam Wharton goodbye. They ain't going to come. They ain't going to come. It's done. It's dusted. As soon as the league is over and we ain't in that position, those two guys ain't coming. Carlos Baleba might still come to us because we're a bit lucky, and he seems to be similar to Cunha, similar to Mbeumo, where he's a bit of a fan and he doesn't really care where we are. But why you want to be in that position? Why you want to rely on people, on having luck that somebody has some sort of special love for the club? Because there's only so many of those. And also, there might be somebody out there that absolutely wants to come to United, but they might not be good enough. We need to be attractive on all sides. Ryan says, we are going nowhere under INEOS. Jim the Rat, so-called lifelong United fans and Chelsea season ticket holders, Glazers 2.0. Well, what I will say is, again, it's early, okay? And they've sort of misled everybody before in a way that it sort of turned positive, because, I mean, if you remember last season, right, towards the end, when we ended up losing Europa League and, we finished 15th and it was a terrible season, and we were getting all this, news that, United are going to struggle to do business in January, in the summer. We're on a sell-to-buy basis, which means that we're going to have to sell before we buy, and none of that was true. None of that was really true, was it? So we ended up doing business. So I'm hoping for the benefit of the club. Not for INEOS' sake, but I'm hoping for the benefit of the club that they're doing sort of the same thing, where they're sort of going out publicly and they're sort of toting a line, trying not to seem like they're desperate, trying not to, I don't know, what it is, but they're trying to play this aspect of we're not really too interested, we're not too bothered. Maybe they're not trying to get taken advantage of, because January is a market where clubs are not really willing to do business, and transfer fees are hard to negotiate, and it is a difficult period already. So maybe they're toting this line. I hope they are, but I would tell you, from the 2nd of January, okay, when it's February 1st, if we have no signings, INEOS, for me, is done. They get no more chances, because this is the ultimate fuck you. It's the ultimate. You can't be serious. You can't be serious. There's no respect. There's no nothing. There's no trust anymore, because it's the ultimate doesn't make sense. If you're actually trying to build something, if you're actually trying to be successful, you need to compete financially at some degree of a level. We might have financial restrictions, but you still have to make a move. You can't just stand still. Lucky says Joshua Zirkzee Ugarte has already said they want to leave Manchester United. Well, we're going to get to those updates. We got those updates. We got updates on new players that Manchester United are looking for. So we're going to get into that as well. Ray says, Happy New Year to you all, Red Devils. Happy New Year, Ray. So, listen, I mean, even people, I'll criticize Ruben. I don't have a problem with that. I don't think he should be sacked right now. I think that I don't think that's that good of an idea right now, because I think, again, you go back to the beginning of the season, before the season even started, and there was a lot of people that said we'd probably finish around 8th. I mean, we still have the opportunity to do that, but we also have a chance to go push for 4th. So I'll just let the guy see it through. Why not? I don't have a problem with that. So I don't think it's the best thing to sack him now. Also, we've sort of done that twice in a row, haven't we? We sacked Ali in the middle of the season, and it went backwards for us. We sacked Ten Hag in the middle of the season, and it went backwards for us. I'm not about to support it for a third time. So there's those things. But listen, criticize Amorim all you want. You don't have to think he's the best manager. You could think he's out of his depth, but INEOS not signing a player in January when we are on our knees and in 6th is absolutely disgraceful. And really, I want the conversation to end up going to them if they do this, because ultimately all the failings will come. It'll be all their fault. Okay? When our season falls apart, later down the stages, March, April, around there, even February maybe, but depending on, what happens with our squad, it's all on them. It's all on them. All right? It's all on them. Now, real quick, we'll do the transfer stuff first. How about that? We'll do the transfer stuff first. Then I'll get to the Enzo Maresca weird narrative that these people in our fan base want to have. But I'll get to that after. So there's a couple updates here. Sekou Kone is attracting growing interest from Switzerland and Belgium. His situation is being closely monitored behind the scenes, with his development pathway a key factor in discussions. Those close to the player believe a temporary move could offer valuable first-team minutes, while suitors see an opportunity to add energy and athleticism without committing a permanent deal at this stage. I think Sekou Kone should absolutely be going on loan. Now, one of the updates about Sekou Kone is that apparently INEOS are looking to loan him to the Swiss team that they own, Leguanes or whatever they're called. And to that, I say absolutely not. I mean, what is wrong with these guys? Why wouldn't you try and listen? We sent Harry Almas on loan to the championship. We sent Collier there. We sent a couple other players there. Why are you taking Sekou Kone and trying to loan him to the fucking Swiss league? That's not going to help him develop for England. You send Sekou Kone to the championship. Now, maybe there's no interest in the championship, but I don't think that's true, because apparently there's about 10 or 11 clubs that are actually interested in his signing on loan. So I find it quite hard to believe that it's like, we don't really have any options. We got to send him to the team we own. No, we should not be sending Sekou Kone on loan to the Swiss league. The Swiss league isn't going to help his development to break into the first team at Manchester United. Now, these younger guys, I think they do need to go on loan. If the time right now is not the best time for them to come in, and they're not going to get the game time, then they should absolutely be going on loan. Like we did to Harry Almas, like we did to a couple other players. We should absolutely be sending them on loan. Here is the update. Lausanne Sport has just come to an agreement with Manchester United for the loan of Sekou Kone until the end of the season, pending future confirmation. That was 5 hours ago. And the update that I gave you first, I believe, came after. So I don't know what they're planning to do. I mean, they've already agreed, and obviously rightfully so. INEOS own it. So, I mean, how can you not agree? How can an agreement not be done? I mean, it's literally straightforward. It's basically like Sir Jim sending himself an email. To that degree, or INEOS sending himself an email. It's obviously going to get confirmed. But I find it interesting that while that might be the case, there is a bunch of growing interest also from other teams in Switzerland and Belgium, and there's a bunch of other teams involved as well. So, Lucky, please don't spam. We get it. Ugarte's going, yes, we got it. I'm going to get to it. So, there's a couple new names on the transfer sort of list or watch that's happening right now, okay? And one of them is, his name is Jeremy Jacquet. This comes from Duncan Castles, who used to be considered very top tier. I think he's sort of fell off a little bit, but I don't know how he is with that. But Jeremy Jacquet is a 20-year-old French player. He's a center back. He has 15 appearances in League One, and he is also plays for Lille. So he's valued at somewhere around like 20 million euros. Oh, he's playing for Stade Rennes. Sorry, I said Lille. I meant Stade Rennes. He's playing for Stade Rennes. And he is one that has been mentioned to us today. I don't know about him. I don't watch the French league. I don't know how good he is, but he is one that, we are looking at, apparently. We're showing some interest in him. There's also another name somewhere, but there's this update on Ugarte. Obviously, there's been talks in the past probably like week or so about Ugarte and Galatasaray. We got this update today saying Galatasaray are in discussions with Manchester United over a 6-month loan for Manuel Ugarte with an option to buy included. That sort of follows hand in hand with Manchester United sort of briefing the journalists saying that United will sort of look at people maybe leaving the football club, but anybody that leaves the football club, if they are loans, they must include a sort of an obligation to buy or an option to buy in them. So there are these things. Joshua Zirkzee obviously still being linked to Roma, and that deal is still sitting around somewhere. We got another update today. This has to do with Carlos Baleba, and I said, listen, out of the three, Wharton, Baleba, and Anderson, Baleba might be the one that would be, if we're gonna get one, I think the other two, Wharton and Anderson, there's no chance of it happening in January for sure, 100%. There's no chance. Baleba, I said, maybe there was like a 10%, 15% chance, but Brighton was always the issue. Now, we got this update. This came from Sky Sports Lyle and Sky Sports Premier League saying Manchester United have looked into signing Carlos Baleba during the current January transfer window, but the move is unlikely to happen as Brighton are adamant about retaining the midfielder until at least the summer. So they were always going to be a pain in the ass. And again, there's only so much we could do in that department. We can't force them to sell. We can try and maybe get in Baleba's ear and have him cause problems if that's what he wants to do. Some people have been saying, he's not performing as well because his head's been turned and he doesn't really want to be there. But yeah, there's only so much we can do. If Brighton are unwilling to do if they're not willing to sit down and talk, if they're not willing to, negotiate, if they're being ridiculous about the transfer price, then, it's either we don't do it or we overpay. And, I'm not in the business of our club overpaying and doing stupid deals. So, we also got another 2 updates about 2 other players. One of them has been mentioned before. He is a Greek wonder kid of sorts. His name is Christos Mazakitis. And there's another young midfield talent. They both play in the midfield. Another young midfield talent. His name is Ayoub Bouadi. Now, I don't know anything about Ayoub Bouadi. I know a little bit about Christos Mazakitis. But on Ayoub Bouadi, from what I can see, he plays for Lille. So another French target. He has a French Morocco citizenship. He has 14 appearances this season in the League One. He has 1 assist. And he is... How old is he? He's 18 years old. Okay, so he's one that probably wouldn't be coming in to the first team like that. All right? He's valued somewhere around 40 million euros. And this is his first season playing, in League One in terms of the top flight. All right. Last season he played in the under-19s. The season before that was in the under-17s with Lille, and before that he was in the youth setup. It just says youth. So, he's not one that seems like he's gonna come in and make the impact. He's not no Sunday Lemons. He ain't no 23-year-old from Belgium with some experience that could come in and make a difference. So, Liverpool, it says here, have a 57% probability of the transfer. Arsenal have a 93% chance. So, just so you know, there's other teams interested. Manchester United have 58%, and PSG have a 46%. So we are not the only ones in for that kid as well. So you got to keep that in mind. And then Christos Mazakitis as well. He is a touted wonder kid, and there's probably significant interest for him as well. Another update here is Manchester United priority is to strengthen their midfield this year with Baleba, just one name on a list of targets that includes Elliot Anderson, Adam Warren, and João Gomez. Again, sort of the same regurgitated news. I mean, listen, it's funny how they word it, yeah? They come out, they word it, they say this year, okay? They want to give people sort of hope or something like that, oh, it might happen in January. They say this year, because technically this year, I mean, is January, is it not? But as we all know, obviously, we just got the update about Baleba. That it doesn't look likely, and Brighton don't want to do discussion. Elliot Anderson, Adam Warden, and, probably even João Gomez to a certain extent, they're all off the table for January. So, they come here and they give you these updates, but it's all bullshit at the end of the day. Ray says, lucky if we're going for Garner, we should get Welbeck. Well, Garner is one that we would end up getting in the summer anyway. Garner is not even for January. Garner has 6 months left on his deal, unless we go in with the transfer bid and they sell because they're going to lose him for free. So maybe they'll take, some sort of a short-term amount of money. But in that case, for me, United, they wouldn't even put the money in for him because they'd be like, we'll just wait 6 months and we'll get him for free when his contract is up. So I don't even think that Garner is real. I think Garner, I don't even think we're actually interested in Garner. I think Garner is a story because he used to play for United and his contract is up. And they're just using our name to link with him because it makes good for headlines and it gets clicks. So I don't even think Garner is realistic. And we should not get Welbeck. We shouldn't go back to any players that we had. We should never go backwards. Ray says, Axis here says, hello, Happy New Year, X. Ray says, Glazers plus INEOS, crap on crap. Well, it could very well be. Again, proof is in the pudding in their decisions. So they have a month to do something and prove everybody that they're not crap on crap and that they're not Glazers 2.0. And we'll get our answer by January 31st. So we'll see. Axis, we're not sending Kone, Suku Kone, not Kokone. Suku Kone to Switzerland. How will that make him EPL ready? Well, I already talked about that, and it's not 100% confirmed because we were told that there is an agreement, but it's not 100% done yet, and also there's other sort of significant interest in him from other clubs. So that deal is not 100% shut and done. There could be just an agreement in principle. Doesn't mean we have to accept it. Doesn't mean we can't do another deal. But I agree. We should not be sending him to Switzerland. We should not be sending him to INEOS' club in Switzerland. It doesn't make sense. We sent other players on loan out of this club, like Harry Amos, to the championship, and they're benefiting from that, and that's going to give them the best help, because they play in England, and they need to learn English football, and they need to get accustomed to it. So I don't think, listen, if there was no interest in him, and you need to loan him out to get game time, okay, I understand. Maybe you send him to Leguanes, or whatever it's called, so that he can play first-team football, and it's arguably, it's more competitive than the under-21s or something like that. But you don't do it when there's other places you can send him to. So, that doesn't make sense at all. Lucky says James Garner, Ruben Neves will be done ASAP. I don't know if they will. X is literally Amorim out, Guardiola in, Maresca at City. Yeah, that's not happening either, and it's a stupid argument, so. I don't give a shit what Goldbridge is. I don't care about what Goldbridge is. I could care I could care less, bro. I could literally care less. You want to talk about Goldbridge, go to his channel. I don't give a fuck about Goldbridge. I don't care about any of them, really. I don't care what anybody else has to say. This is my show. And it's my opinions. I don't base my stuff off of Goldbridge. So, but I will talk about the Maresca thing because it is another stupid narrative in the fan base. And I already knew as soon as it was confirmed that Maresca has left Chelsea, I already knew that the fan base was going to say, get him in. And I also knew that everybody was going to start doing this stupid narrative of where they're talking about how Maresca has left Chelsea and he had a 60% win ratio and won 2 trophies and Ruben Amorim is still in charge. Anybody that says that, you people are, to put it bluntly, you people are idiots. Okay? You people are dumb. Well, I don't know what kind of argument that is. First of all, the situations are totally different. Second of all, that shit has nothing to do with anything. There was a multitude of problems for why Maresca has left Chelsea. It wasn't just because they weren't happy with the progress or whatever, you know. So the comparison makes no sense. It's just all agenda driven again. It's all just spewing bullshit. All right? Makes no sense whatsoever. 0 sense at all. All right? It's 2 different situations, 2 different clubs. Maresca was unhappy at the club. Maresca was unhappy with medical department. Maresca was unhappy with transfers. Maresca was unhappy that he was being forced to play players that he didn't necessarily want to play. That Chelsea, the hierarchy at Chelsea, were trying to force him to play because they spent money on him. Okay, so that's why he's not there anymore. All right? So it's not the same. We're not even at the same place. They've spent over $1 billion in 2 years. They expected to be fighting for the Premier League. We are not fighting for the Premier League. Nobody expected us to fight for the Premier League, and we were never going to fight for the Premier League. It's not even a close thing to even try and make an argument about it. Not even close. Not even close. Not even close. Apparently, this just came out right now, as I'm speaking about it. Manchester United had a small role in the drama that ended in Enzo Maresca's sacking at Chelsea. The damaging reports detailing Manchester City's interest in Maresca were partially informed by some Old Trafford chatter. Whether United intended to destabilize Chelsea is unclear. Well, I mean, this sounds like some Game of Thrones shit or something. You know, I don't know what's going on here, but that's crazy. If that's true. I mean, I don't even know. I mean, this is coming from Samuel Luckhurst. So, and he works for the Sun. So, you know, I don't know what to say about that, but it's insane. It's insane if that's true. But yeah, the argument with Maresca and people wanting to compare Maresca to Ruben Amorim, and they want to compare the situations. You guys are off your rockers. You don't know what you're talking about. And it's a fucking joke. It really it's a complete and utter joke. Complete and utter joke. So what I want to talk about though is there's a couple other updates here, and that is, where did it just go? So one of the things that I missed is that Toby Collier, he has already been recalled back to Manchester United. He was on loan. He got injured. The loan wasn't going that great for him anyway, but he got injured and we already recalled him. So he is actually not going back to the club he was at, and he is actually at our football club, but he is injured still, so we can't use him. So that's why you won't see him. Now, there's sort of an update around here saying that United are hoping to send Collier back out on loan in January, despite the current selection crisis. United cancelled Collier's season-long loan at West Brom after the midfield picked up a calf injury in November. However, despite Ruben Amorim's lack of a squad depth, with 8 players unavailable, United are still planning to secure a loan move for Collier if he returns to fitness this month. Okay, that literally doesn't make much sense to me unless we plan to actually do business in January. And this is what I'm saying. Right now, it's all over the place, and we don't know what's happening. Because if we're down on players, we obviously can't use him now because he's not healthy. So, you know. But if we're down on players and we need help in the midfield, And we're not going to do business in January, in terms of we're not going to bring people in. And I don't know, like Kobe wants to go on loan. Why wouldn't you keep Collier in Kobe Mainoo's spot and let Kobe Mainoo go out on loan for the very least? Or just keep Collier and use him because we still need a midfield signing. Now, maybe their argument is, well, he's not good enough and he needs to go on loan because he needs to develop. And, you know, we don't really want to use him at this time here because he's not going to be enough for us. You know, maybe the body, the extra player is not really worth it because he might not develop as good as maybe he can, which will hurt us in the future if we plan to keep him. You know, if we don't plan to keep him and maybe they're interested in selling him at some point, well, if he doesn't play, I mean, you're going to get less money for him. So there's a couple things there. I don't know, but I would say if we're not doing business in January and if we're not getting people in and we need somebody, I think you could still maybe make the argument that, well, let's let Kobe go on loan and let's put him in Kobe's spot. That way, you know, it won't be that big of a deal because people don't rate Collier as highly as they rate Mainoo. Mainoo will go out on loan and play and get his game time, and maybe he'll get into the World Cup, and we'll have Collier, and he can play Kobe's role and play 20 minutes a match for the rest of the season. Axe says, yes, they weren't progressing as they at the speed they wanted. They changed the damn manager. Isn't that the decisive leadership would make changes at the right time? Well, we'll see what happens, Axe, because, I don't know, they're looking at a manager from Strasbourg, which is related to Chelsea, so it's basically like United sacking Ruben Amorim and then going and getting the manager from Nice. You know, would you be happy with that? Would you be happy if INEOS sacked Ruben Amorim and they went and hired the manager from Nice, who I don't even know who the fuck it is, but that's literally what they're doing right now, okay? They're not... So, it all depends on how it plays out, and also, again, when you spend $1 billion in 2 seasons, okay, they expected to be fighting for the Premier League. They were in a position where they were there. He dropped 15 points. This is not the same situation at Manchester United. It's not part of our plan. It's not part of the progression. It's not part of anything. It's 2 totally different situations. 2 totally different situations. It's not comparable by any chance. People keep bringing up the record. He didn't get fired just solely for the record. And he left as well. Like, they say sacked, but he didn't want to be there anyway. He had problems and issues with them. Okay, Ruben doesn't have, as far as we know, Ruben doesn't have problems with INEOS. It's not the same situation. So it's not like they said, oh, he has a 60% win ratio and they sacked him. That's not why. So there was a multitude of things there. So it's not the same. It's not the same at all. At this fan base, they like to create narratives because they want to live in fantasy land. And some people, and they just have this agenda, and they, every time there's a little new angle, they want to hit it because it fits their thing. Okay, it's stupid. It is 100% stupid and idiotic. But I guess that's what happens when you go online to get opinions, you know, because the internet is filled with dumb ideas. Ray says, why we always get caught in this too much crap news. We should be concentrating on our team because this is part of Manchester United. It's the circus. We are massive. Everybody talks about us. That's why we're hated, adored, and never ignored. And this is what happens. I mean, but this is part of it, and we have to deal with it, and we need to figure out a way through it. I mean, this is never going to go away. It's always been here. It's been here every season that we've ever had, you know, and it's going to continue. So we need to figure out how to navigate it. We can't, it's going to be there. We need to figure out how to get through it. It's part of the football club, unfortunately. So I would give him a chance. He was decent under Erik ten Hag. Well, I mean, he did play last season, didn't he? I mean, didn't Ruben give him a chance last season? Didn't he play? So they clearly don't think that he's good enough. You know? And again, like, Ruben's not the one that makes the old, like, it's not just like it's not like Ruben's just like, I don't rate him and that's it. You know, it's him and everybody else that's part of that, you know, in the setup. The under 21 coaches, the youth development people, you know, all these people have come to a consensus that it's better for him to go out on loan because they feel like they can't really use him. So, I don't know. Bro, I'd be happy with everyone, but Amorim, no, you wouldn't. And after 30 minutes, I might turn against the new manager. Now, if Guardiola or Maresca come in, I will back them. Okay, well, Guardiola's not leaving Manchester City, so come back to the real world. You're talking about something that's never going to happen. Guardiola's never coming to Manchester United. Even if he left Manchester City, he's never coming to us. We're never getting him. He never wants to come to us. He's not going to come to us. So you're talking about something that's never happening. Maresca, I mean, nobody, like, here's the thing. Nobody's coming now. It's not happening. You know, this is the thing. Like, this is why the fan base needs to just move on, bro. Move on and accept it. The guy is staying here till the end of the season. Whether you like it or not, too fucking bad. But that's what it is, okay? The story's already written. He made it to January. These are the updates that we were told about, that if he makes it to through the festive period, he'll be here till the end of the season. They plan to give him till the end of the season. They should give him till the end of the season. Again, I disagree with this notion in the fan base that we need to sack him now. You're talking about a 30% win ratio that had to do with last season. This season is not last season. This season, we are in 6th, and we can get Champions League football. Okay? He's brought us to this point. He is in charge. He is the manager, and he has managed us to this point. Okay? So, he can succeed or he can fail. He'll do one or the other. And when it happens, it happens. But sacking the manager now, who the fuck knows who we're going to get? There's not many options out there. And I've just watched it happen twice in a row. And people thought it was going to get better when we sacked Ali, and it got worse. And people thought it was going to get better when we sacked Ten Hag in the middle of the season, and it got worse. So, I don't think it's smart to do that. I don't. And I think there's many probably prospects, maybe there's somebody out there that they might be in a club right now that we would be looking to get in if we sacked Ruben Amorim and we needed a new manager. And we're not going to get them out. We're not going to pay money again. We're going to pay money to Ruben. We're going to pay money to get the manager out. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Do they sincerely think that Fletcher is good enough? Let's try Collier instead of opting for nepotism. No, I don't think that they think that Fletcher is good enough. They're using Fletcher now because we're missing 7 players, starting players from the lineup. Fletcher is only there, and the rest of them are only there because we have no choice. We have to use them. There's no other options. You know. And they're probably saying, well, listen, when we recover from the injuries and when our 3 players come back from AFCON, there ain't going to be room for Collier. And actually, they'd probably look at it and say, we'd rather have Meno here instead of Collier. So there's a lot of reasons why they probably wouldn't want to do that. They can do it, but I think there's valid arguments for both sides. One that I presented, that I said, well, you can let Kobe go out on loan and keep Collier, but if you don't think Collier is good enough, or you think Menu is better and you'd rather have Menu in your squad than Collier, well, then I can understand that side of the argument as well. All right, Axe. I'm not entertaining it now. Bro, Pep Guardiola wouldn't come to Manchester United if we offered him 10 million upfront in cash. He wouldn't come. You live in a fantasy. Lauren says, my YouTube day is people too forgiving of Ruben first thing in the morning, and now high-profile people being very damning of him in the evening. Well, sounds like an eventful day, I guess. Lauren says he needs 4 points in the next 2 games. Ruben, he could be sacked end of January without that. I don't think he'll get sacked. unless the equation isn't there, which the equation is there right now, okay? Mathematically and positionally, it's there. He won't get sacked if it's there. So if he maintains this over the rest of the season, he'll be here. Now, some people have said, well, maybe United, they're not looking to get players in January because they're unsure of his future and they might not want to spend to get players in. To me, I would still say that that's a mistake and a disgrace because I've always said it's not about this guy. Even if you sack him now and somebody comes in, guess what they're going to do? Ask for fucking transfers because this team needs better players. This team needs transfers. So even if you sack him now, the new guy that would come in, or regardless, even if we didn't even have a manager, we still need a player. We still need to go and buy. So the January market is irregardless of Ruben. It has to be. And if it isn't, well then they're idiots. Okay? They're idiots and they're stupid. Like they don't know what they're doing. All right? I don't care if the community is turning against him. Good. Let the sheep follow the sheep like they so do, because that's what the sheep do, okay? I don't care. I don't care. Okay, people want to be sheep, go ahead. Stand on your own 2 feet, think for yourself. All right? Don't follow other people, because now Goldbridge is saying stuff, and that guy on that channel is saying stuff, and they influence the masses. Don't be a sheep, okay? Don't be sheep. That's all I would say. Ben Jacobs already told these idiots fans were sticking with the manager until the end of the season. Yeah, I know, but they don't want to listen, you know? So, they don't want to listen, so. And it's not even just Ben Jacobs. I mean, it's literally been the update that we've been getting for fucking weeks, months, I don't know. Like, they've made it pretty adamant that they're not going to sack him in the middle of the season. And I would go one step further and say it would be fucking stupid to do that. It would be stupid to do that. I think it is the wrong move, and I don't think we would actually benefit from it. Because people just say things, and they don't think things through, and they don't have realistic answers, but they just want to say words, okay? They just want to say the catchphrase, sack the manager. Okay, good. All right, and when we sack the manager and INEOS get in some shitter, because that's what's available, and our season goes from inconsistency to worse, then what? Then you're gonna ask for him to be sacked too? No, I'm not doing this fucking circle run around chasing the dragon high type of shit. It's stupid. It is stupid. Yeah, we're not getting any of those guys, bro. We're not getting any of those guys. It's not happening. Zidane is never coming to England, and he's never coming to this football club. Again, you just like, I don't know where you get your information from. I don't know if you just make it up in your head or something, dude, but you like are literally always so far off the mark. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And you say the same shit that I see on X. So I don't know if you're on X constantly and you read these things, but maybe you need to reset your timeline because I think the things you say, I see them on X and those people are idiots, okay? And they're morons. Mr. Reynoso says, not only that, why would any businessman want to miss out on an opportunity to earn Champions League money by adding a player to a squad that is already in sixth? He's the right guy. They know it. Well, that's also another good point that I absolutely agree with and I overlooked. I did mean to mention that. So thank you for that comment. I appreciate that. And it is a valid point. Again, that's just another, thing to add to the basket in terms of, one, you got to probably spend money to make money. And, the way I view where we are right now, again, we're sort of teetering on the line. It could go good. It could go bad. We're inconsistent, but we're still in this position that we're here that we can either go up or we could go down. I don't think we'll stay there. I think it'll be one or the other. Now, for me, it for me, 2 + 2 = 4, in that if you go and get a player that has some sort of quality, then I think it gives you a better chance to have a better season. It also keeps you up with the rest of the people that are going to do business, that are trying to get the best possible finish. So we need to compete. So, yeah, and I don't think that it's, like, I think it's a stupid gamble, because there was an update saying Jim believed in the beginning of the season that this team was good enough to get Champions League football, and he still holds that true. And I would say, okay, that's fine. We are still there, but when you do the equation of, well, our squad needs more help anyway, it needs it anyway. It's, whether it's January, why are we looking to do transfers in the summer? If the squad is so good, why are we even looking to buy in the summer? It's the same thing. Then we should be looking to buy in January. And we're in the middle of a season. You're looking at the table. You're analyzing how things are going. You're looking at the other teams, and you're looking that they're going to go do business. Okay, well, 2 + 2 = 4. If they do business and you don't do business, they're going to get better. You're not going to get better, and you're going to get worse. So then you fail. I think it's a pretty simple equation. And if you fail, you don't get the money from the Champions League. You're not going to be attractive. We're not going to get Elliot Anderson. We're not going to get Wharton. We're going to miss out on some other players that aren't mentioned right now for the summer, because the likes of Liverpool, the likes of Arsenal, the likes of Chelsea, the likes of Manchester City, they're all going to come in, and if any of the players that we want are wanted by them too, well, they ain't coming to us unless they have some weird love for Manchester United. So we need to be lucky. And I don't believe in relying on being lucky, okay? That's not a proper way to succeed. Well, I don't know where you get your ideas from then, because you literally just repeat the same thing that I read online. So I don't know who you listen to. I don't know where you get your ideas from, but Reynoso says they may be playing things too careful by correcting their past standing in the transfer market. United tax, but if they don't buy, they know they gambled, but won't sack him because of public desire. Well, I don't think they should sack him because of public desire. I don't think they should. Listen, if you have a plan and you believe in the plan, and you're looking at things and you're saying, well, there's improvements in the plan, then you should stick to your plan. You shouldn't be flip-flopping, okay? I don't want flip-floppers, all right? I'd rather see it play out to the end and have it fail, and then say, well, that was shit, and time to move to the next thing, and move from there. But no, they shouldn't be succumbing to public desire at all. They should absolutely not when it comes to these things. So yeah, that, and listen, I mean, that line came out before as well. That I think Ruben did an interview about a week ago on Sky Sports or something like that, and he said, we're not looking, the club are not trying to do the same mistakes of the past. I understand that, in terms of, yes, we should also not be doing stupid transfers. We should not panic and go and all of a sudden splash a bunch of money that's going to fuck us for the summer or further down the line, FFP wise or whatever. We shouldn't do that. But my whole thing is, if you're an actual club, if you're a real club and you're serious, again, my thing is, if you can get me a Senny Lemons in the summer with the scouting network we have and the name that we have, there should be another Senny Lemons, in obviously not the goalkeeping position, but in any position, centre mid, striker, winger, whatever it is. There should be another Senny Lemons out there. There should actually be probably a bunch of them. But that's if you're really, really good at your job and you make the right call. So there's a couple options. Gallagher is still out there, but Atletico Madrid are saying that Conor Gallagher is not available for loan and it's only going to be a permanent sale. So that kind of backfires for our angle, because we obviously would have liked to get him on loan. And I don't know if it's such a great idea to sign him permanently, because I don't know how that's necessarily going to work out. And there just might be somebody else out there, maybe a younger guy, 23, that you could get for maybe about 25, 30 million that we could use. that would add some sort of, whatever. My voice tells me my names of new managers. I am delirious. I am out of my mind as long as my team is shit. That is my coping mechanism. Well, I don't know what to tell you. Go seek some help or something. Because you're really far off of it, my friend. Reynoso, exactly. Grass is growing. No need to fire the gardener yet, even if you want the grass to grow faster. Well, yes. And again, this is why I don't really understand this aspect in the fan base. I don't get it. Like, nobody's saying he is the greatest manager since Sir Alex Ferguson. Nobody's saying that he doesn't have his own problems or issues. But I don't understand these people that are acting like we are actually in 15th right now. Because that's how they're behaving. They're behaving like we've ended up in 15th again. They're behaving like we're in the bottom half of the table right now. And before we started the season, everybody was like top 4 would be very difficult, almost impossible to do. And everybody said 6th or 8th would be good enough. Now we get here, and now everybody is losing their fucking mind because we're still in 6th. Yeah, we missed some opportunities, but there's going to be some more opportunities. We have another one against Leeds. So until that shit is gone, then I can't buy into sacking him. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I think it's a dumb argument. I think it's purely reactionary. I think it's highly emotional. And I don't think it's clear-headed at all. And I don't think that the grass is always greener on the other side either, which these people swear up and down by, and they want to promise me. And I ain't buying it. I ain't buying what they're selling. Sorry. I've literally seen this football club do it before. People promised me that Solskjaer gets sacked, it would get better. People promised me that when we sacked Ten Hag, it would get better. It didn't. Especially in the middle of a season. Ruben didn't want to come in November for obvious reasons. And this is another thing that I have. Because we talk about 30% win ratio. Well, obviously that goes back to last season. Okay, well now last season, yeah, when he didn't want to come in November for obvious reasons, well, he's got us in 6th. If this was his first season, nobody would be saying a damn thing. But because they made him come in November, in the middle of that season, playing the way he was going to play, which they well knew, and then bought him Dorgu, and only Dorgu, and used the players that we had, and got rid of Rashford, and got rid of Anthony, and didn't get any attackers, and then we lost players to injury, and we ended up in 15th, and lost the Europa League final. Well, now, because we're in 6th, now he needs to get sacked. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. 2 more weeks, we'll have everyone back, and let's see after that. Well, that is the thing, but the problem, Ray, is that in those 2 weeks, we have 2 matches. So, we need to get results. Because the picture, pending on other results as well, but I mean, if you looked at yesterday, things went very well for us, right? We fucked up, we slipped up against Wolves, okay? Massive letdown, massive mistake, shit performance, and a shit result. But we got a bit fortunate once again, because everybody drew. Everybody drew yesterday, so everybody dropped points. So, bit fortunate on that front, because there was the likes of Liverpool. They dropped points. Crystal Palace dropped points, and they're behind us. So, bit fortunate there. But, we're going to play a tough match against Leeds. We're down to the bare bones. We're away from home. It's going to be hostile. And again, our depth is a bunch of kids. So, I fear for the kids. I fear for them because we're going to have to use them. And it's not a fucking great time for them to come in. Really. I mean, especially in this game. Because of the hostility. So, I fear for them. But I hope whoever we end up using, whether it's Shea, Lacey, Fletcher, or whoever, I hope they take it in stride and they do well. I hope they can handle it and step up. But I fear for them because I think that it could easily be a disaster. All right, Leeds are in good form. They're way down the table compared to where we are. But their last 6 matches, they have been in excellent form. and they're a tough opponent. So, and we are sort of on our knees at the moment in time. And, you know, if our starting 11 doesn't go out there with the energy and, you know, strength and determination and, you know, like wanting to win the match more than their opponent, well, then we're probably going to be quite rightly fucked, because you go to make the changes from the bench, it's very less likely that you're going to get some sort of impact. You know, it's very less likely because of the kids. Because of the kids, I think the kids are always a massive gamble. You know, we could put on a kid and he could do some worldly shit that's absolutely amazing, and we're all you know, stunned and taken aback, and we're like, holy crap, that was amazing. And we're so happy for the kid, and I hope they do that. But in terms of a probability, a chance of that happening, I put it's under 50% for sure. I think 25% chance of that happening is me being generous. I don't think it's very likely. So hopefully, when we go to this match, our players actually are up for the task. They go out there, battle, and they get the job done. But no players back, again, worried. You know, I don't know necessarily how Leeds are going to play in this match. They just played a 3-5-2. I don't know if they're going to sit back a lot. If they sit back a lot, we're going to be in trouble. If they don't give us space, we're going to be in trouble, because we don't have Mount, we don't have Mano, we don't have Bruno, we don't have a creator. We just struggled against Wolves for that same reason. So if they do the same, Leeds, we're going to struggle to score. And if we struggle to score, we're going to struggle to win. Lawrence says, some influencers just hate the style and quality of football and fear the worst before that's a reality. Personally, I have low expectations after 10 years of decline. Well, that's what I get that. I get that. And if you don't like the style or the quality of football, okay. But, you know, sort of make that your argument. Don't bring up talking about fucking, you know, some other stuff that has nothing to do with anything, that you're trying to find an angle just to, you know, stab him with, you know. Just say you don't like the style and the quality. That's fine. Like, you know, you don't like it. Okay, I can accept that. I'm not going to say you have to like it. How can you not like it? But they don't really say that, do they? They say that for 2 seconds, but then they go on some tangent talking about something else. You know what I mean? So but I mean, yeah, I mean, low expectations after 10 years makes sense, Lawrence. You know, I talked about this the other day when we did the New Year's Eve stream, you know, and not for nothing, I had some guy actually reply. I had some guy actually leave a comment, and now that you bring this in, or that you said that, it reminded me. So I'll read it, because this guy is one of these. He's one of these guys. You know what I mean? He's one of those guys that I was talking about. So he came in and he responded to what I was saying, and he said, every manager before him has been unsuccessful. ? He said, what the fuck are you talking about? ? Qualified for Champions League ? FA Cup ? Europa Cup ? Amorim is the worst manager ever. His win percentage is ludicrously bad. He's out of his depth and grasping at straws, like you, frankly. And ladies and gentlemen, these are the morons of the internet. So yes, they are the morons of the internet. First of all, every manager before Ruben, including Ruben, which is what I said, okay? He made it seem like I was saying everybody besides Ruben. No. I said every manager before Ruben, including Ruben, has failed at this football club. And when I say fail, it's because what is the ultimate goal of this football club? What is the standards of this football club? To win the Premier League, to win the Champions League, to be consistent, to constantly be fighting and involved to win titles, okay? And every manager before him, they've lasted here for 2.5 years at the most. They haven't won the Premier League. They haven't won the Champions League. And they were all sacked, okay? And Ruben, right now, he's failing as well. because he can very well get sacked. So, this is what I'm saying. These people are idiots. Like, they're idiots. They all say the same thing. They talk about the win percentage. Okay, nobody's saying he's got a good win percentage, but this season is different than last season. You want to combine both of them, go ahead. But I think that's stupid at this current moment in time. Because if the win percentage was so bad, well then they should have just sacked him at the end of last season. But they didn't do that, and he's here now. So he gets the opportunity to turn it around. And I think, again, INEOS, they hold themselves accountable for a large part of the blame of last season. I don't think they blame Ruben. I don't blame Ruben a lot for last season. He's had his mistakes. He made bad calls. But I don't blame him for how that last season majorly went. Because I think everything else around it was a disaster waiting to happen. A game like that can't turn this kids to man, my friend, take the opportunity. Can turn these kids. Well, listen, regardless, either way, we're going to have to use them because we don't have subs. So they're going to have to play at some point in the game. It's just going to depend what is the situation of the game. When it's time to make subs, right, which obviously you would say second half at some point, well, what's the situation of the game going to be? Are we going to be losing? Is it going to be draw? Or are we going to be winning? You know, these things will make a difference as well. So, listen, if we're down and it's the second half and we're in this hostile environment and you got to throw these kids on to make an impact, it could make them a man. Could. But you're telling me now it's getting way harder, okay? Because listen, I've seen them play. They have some bright spots about them, but they are still very, very rough around the edges. They are still very, very inexperienced. So I think it's quite difficult for them to... I think the percentage of them rising above that is very, very low. They still have a chance to do it, because I'm not saying they have 0% chance, but I just think it's very low. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's what happens. And if it does happen, you know, there's not much that we can, we can't blame them. We can't hate on them. It's not their fault. And again, like I've always said, we shouldn't actually ever be in a position that we have to rely on them to do the job for us. So my thing will be our senior players, that starting 11 that starts, the whole responsibility, the whole onus is on them. You have an onus and a job and a responsibility to those fucking kids on the bench that you go out there in that match and you get the job done because you know that they're going to have to come in as subs at some point. Regardless of how the game is going to go. It's your responsibility to make sure that when they come onto that pitch, we're in a good position so that they don't, that they're not more likely to suffer, that they're not in a worse position that they have to try and fight from, and that they don't have to come on and try and take up that responsibility as a fucking 18-year-old kid to take a shit playing Manchester United team on the field and carry them on their back. You know, that's not their responsibility. Their responsibility in normality is to go on there, make some sort of a minimal impact, an impact on the game, but for them to progress, for them to get a feeling of playing in the first team, for them to get that feeling of playing professional football. That's what their job is supposed to be. Not come in and save us because our first team is shit and they can't get the job done and they're embarrassing. Do you think we're going to play a 4-back? Lucky. Well, they played a 3-5-2. So I don't know if he tries to match it again. Because apparently that's what he tried to do against Wolves. Because they also played a 3-back and he tried to play a 3-back to match it. Although, again, the instructions were very weird because players were all over the place. Like Ugarte was going out to the wing, which when we play a 3-5-2 or a 3-4-2-1, well, I've never seen one of the centre mids turning into a winger. So we might have been in that formation, but the instructions were super strange. And that's where he got all of that wrong because that quite clearly obviously didn't work. So he tried to do something and it didn't work out well. Well, the thing is, Lucky, it's not that you can't not care about the win percentages. Like, obviously, the win percentage tells you a story, but these people are using the 30% win. They're using the 30% win ratio as a justify to sack him, but it's like, but he fucking had that at the end of last season, and you people weren't asking for his sacking. The amount of people that are asking for his sacking now were not asking for his sacking at the end of last season when he had the 30% win ratio. Okay? Or it was less. So, and they keep trying to tell me that there is no improvement this season from last season, and I just like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Have there been setbacks in matches? Yes. Have there been missed opportunities? Yes. But to tell me that we are seeing the same exact thing this season that we saw last season, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. Because we're not in 15th. We're not in the bottom half of the table. We're not in 10th. We're in fucking 6th. We're a couple points off of 4th. We've missed some opportunities. But this is part of the fucking shitty process, isn't it? Everybody wants instant gratification. Nobody wants to grind through shit. Let's see what we get. Let's see what happens. If he fails, then he fails. He'll lose his job. You know, I don't understand why people are so up in arms. I think they just, you know, play a fantasy scenario in their head. I think the biggest problem is that they really truly believe that we sack him, any guy walks in here, and we automatically get 4th. And I don't think that, I think that's bullshit. I don't think that there's no guarantee that that happens. At all. At all. And I would make the argument again that we just did that 2 times in a row, where we sacked 2 managers in the middle of a season, and it didn't get better. And somebody out there will say 3rd time's the charm, cheekily. But no, in all seriousness, no. Like, we just had 2 prime examples of that. And so you want to do it, you want to go for it for a 3rd time? Lawrence says, would be nice to see some grit on Sunday. Could the team play a mid-block effectively with 5 in the midfield? Well, I mean, I don't know what we're going to do, right? You know, really, it's up to him. You know, maybe he goes with the 4-back. Maybe he goes with the 3-back again. What I will say is I do agree with the grit part, Lawrence. And what I would further say to that is they must fight for every ball. They must show strength. They can't be getting tossed around. Okay? They can't be getting bullied all over the pitch. They got to show fight about them. They got to show a want. 50-50 balls, you need to be going 100% into them. And when you're on the ball, you got to make smart decisions. You know, and you need to read the game as well as a player, okay? You need to read the situation. You might prepare in one way. The game might unfold differently. Yeah, the manager has to help you with that aspect as well. But while you're on the pitch, you're still making decisions with the ball in your feet, okay? So the manager might be yelling out instructions, whatever. He might try and change something. He might not do nothing. But you as a player, you got to realize, hey, when I pick up the ball, there's fucking 3 people on top of me. Maybe I should pass it immediately. Maybe I should take a 1-touch pass instead of thinking that I can take 2 touches, because I'm not going to get 2 touches. You know, this is what I was watching during Wolves. It was like, Cunha's picking up the ball, running into 7 people. Is that fucking smart? You did it 7 times. Did it work for you? You were getting thrown off the ball. Every time. You were getting knocked off the ball, knocked on your ass. Stop dribbling so much. Relax a little bit. Move the ball. Make the ball do the work. Be smart. You know, be intelligent. Doing the same thing over and over again when it's not working is literally insanity. And that's what they were doing. Like, even Dorgu picked up the ball, and he did the same shit that Cunha did. And I'm like, these guys are on the pitch, and they're not paying attention to the game in any way. Like, if I'm picking up the ball, and I'm watching Cunha running into 7 people, and he's getting his ass tossed around all over the pitch and losing the ball, guess what I'm doing when I pick up the ball? I'm not running into 7 people thinking that I'm Cristiano Ronaldo and I'm going to take them all on. I'm going to look to do something else. I'm going to look to pass the ball somewhere, move it quick, give and go, do something, not keep trying to do the same thing. So individual battles, physicality wise, they need to bring it. They need to bring the intensity and they need to bring the want. Those are the basic minimum levels. And I would expect any Manchester United player that wears that shirt and goes on the pitch, you should have that in you, and you should be bringing that even if we didn't have a manager on the sideline, okay? Even if we had no manager and we had no staff, you should be bringing that regardless, okay? Otherwise, you don't belong at this football club. Point blank and simple. The people using win ratio don't realize Amorim was signed by INEOS early with no first season expectation except not to get relegated. We're actually in season 1 of Amorim right now. Well, you know what I would say to that, Reynoso? You know what I would say to that? I wouldn't even give him that much credit, Reynoso. I wouldn't give him the credit of they don't realize. I think they totally completely ignore it on purpose. Okay, I think I think that they could obviously maybe see that, but they don't care enough, or they don't want to accept any of that. So I wouldn't even give them that much credit. Okay, because I think you're giving them credit there that they're a little bit short-sighted. I don't even believe that. I think they know that. They just choose to ignore it because, again, like Lawrence said, some people don't like the style of play. Some people don't like the quality. But also some people are demanding instant gratification that we're never going to get because they think that it is 2013 and we are in the position where Fergie just left us and we just won the title. And we're not. And we're 12 years down the line. And like Lawrence said, 10 years of mediocrity. So, I think they know, but they just choose not to talk about it because that means that their arguments that they make are invalid, in that what they're saying doesn't make sense, And the biggest thing for me, the biggest hypocrisy in this fan base is all the ones that have already said that INEOS are incompetent, that they're bad at their job, and that they are shit. And then ask for the manager to be sacked, and then ask those same people that they're saying are incompetent to go hire a new manager in the middle of the season so we get top 4. That whole argument makes zero sense at all. Because if they are 100% incompetent, if they are people that are really bad at their job, and they've made everything worse, when they sack this guy, how do you have any sort of... How can you even possibly remotely think that they're going to get a guy in and it's going to finish 4th? Would it not more likely be the same scenario that we just went through, where they sacked Ten Hag, they bring Ruben in, and the season fell apart? Would it not be the same thing if we sacked Ruben now, they went and hired a manager, and we fall away from the position we're in and we end up in a shittier position? Because it depends on the guy. And people will throw names around, but you don't know what's going on. They might not want to come. They might not be available. You might only be able to get a certain guy. Fair benefit of the doubt, unless they conceded verbally. Well, I guess so. But listen, for me, I don't know. When I see a lot of the discussion, especially, on X, where a lot of the discussion is held between fans, and I follow a wide range of people, so it's not like I'm following just like one thing. Like, it's all over the place. You can literally just type in Manchester United, you'll get you'll get everything and everybody, and there is a section of these people that they are just verbally they verbally like say that they verbally say that. They are, you could tell what kind of people they are. Like, they have a 100% pure hate for this man. They have an agenda. They've done this with every manager. They did it with Ten Hag, right? And they do it with him, and they did it with Ali. And then what they do is 3 years down the line, they play revisionism and they put up clips of Ali and they say, these people owe you an apology. And it's like, no. You also asked for his sacking. You also said it was shit. You also wanted him out of the football club. You erased all your tweets. And now you want to put up clips talking about the fans owe you an apology, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. No. It's all hypocrisy bullshit, okay? Sincerely, INEOS have chosen him mid-season, believing he can get us into UCL via EPL or winning Europe. He clearly did horrible in EPL and lost the final. The team hasn't improved enough. Well, we'll find out if it improved enough, because if we end up getting in Europe, then that's improved enough, is it not? Because clearly we didn't get into it and we lost the final. So if he does it this season, well, under him it's improved. But I mean, I find it hard to believe that they thought that they were going to get into UCL the way they did when they make the change they made, because it doesn't make sense. If you bring in a manager that played a 4-2-3-1 for the squad we had, then yeah, okay. But my whole thing is, like, he didn't lie to them. He didn't say, I'm going to play a 4-3-3, and then he came in and said, I'm playing a 3-4-2-1 and I'm not changing, sack me or whatever. He told them what he was going to do. They agreed to it. And then they only bought him Dorgu in January. So how they thought they were going to possibly do that? Listen, Europa League, sure. Because we ended up in the final. We lost to Tottenham. But yeah, Europa League, I mean, yeah, we should have went far. We went far. Because I don't think the quality in the Europa League is even that good. We should, like, if we end up in Europa League for next season, we should probably get to the final anyway. Because I don't think Europa League quality is good. He's still accommodating to EPL. The team doesn't have a cohesive and consistent playing system after 2 years of training under him. He isn't for our level. Hiring him was a horrible decision. And my thing would be, what is our level? What is our level? We went from finishing 2nd to 8th, and now we're 15th, and now we're back to 6th. What is our level? We have been an inconsistent team for 12 years. I don't know what our level is. I know what I want our level to be, but what is our level? Because we have been inconsistent for 12 years. We went from a top 4 team to a team that finishes in the top 6 to a team that misses his Europe, then goes back into Europe, then goes into the Europa League, then goes into the Champions League, back into Europa League, outside of Europe. We're not going to get the consistency that you're asking for when we keep sacking managers. You want to turn this into a sacking thing. We don't have the finances to do that, okay? Chelsea can do it because they have the ability to spend as much money as possible. You can spend your way out of it. We can't do that. We cannot spend that money. We have been building 2.5-year projects and sacking managers and getting new managers and restarting 2.5-year projects. It is part of the reason why we are where we are. There's no consistency in this football club. Yeah, because we haven't had a consistent fucking plan. We haven't stuck to anything at all. We keep trying to do something, and then we rip it apart, and we try to do something again, and we rip it apart. So the consistency will never come. Will never come if we keep doing that, because we don't have the money. We don't have the money to make the changes. When the manager comes in, we don't have the money to buy all these players. We can't spend $1 billion in 2 years. We don't have the luxury that City had when Pep comes in and he says, I need a specific right back, and they buy him 10 right backs. We don't have that luxury. So we can't do it. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Yeah, man, Renoso says, yeah, man, some people are reachable. It's best just to urge them down and expose the flaws in their arguments in front of others so that reason can prevail publicly. Well, that's what I try to do, my friend. So, but it depends on how people want to have this discussion. You know, if they want to be toxic assholes, well, then I will be a toxic asshole. But if somebody wants to have a nice, serious discussion and, you know, say some serious points, then I'll be level-headed. You know, I don't have to be like that. But you know, you'll receive what you give. So, but yes, I think some people are reachable, absolutely, and I think that's the whole point of having actual honest discussion, is that you put two opposing points of views out there and let the people decide. You know, for what makes the most sense. But we also live in an ecosystem where there are people that have 2 million subscribers, or 1 million subscribers, or 700,000 subscribers, and these people are sort of the new... They're similar to some of our legends. Like, people worship what they say. People look at them like they are some sort of expert and not fans. Okay? Because some guy might have some, you know, inside news from some source that works at United. So now everything that this person says, they're absolutely right. They can't be wrong. They don't say anything wrong. They don't have their own personal agendas or anything like that. That's the problem that this fan base has. Some of these people out there, when these guys speak, they take their word as gospel. Okay? And it's a mind hive. Like, you know, I see one creator with massive numbers say something. All of a sudden, I go online and everybody's saying the same shit. And it's like, well, this thing runs around in a circle, doesn't it? INEOS dug our hole deeper by hiring him. Let's accept the obvious. Furthermore, the chances of improving consistently under this manager are very low. The constant changing of managers is toxic, yes. Okay, it might be low, but it could still happen, is my whole point. So, again, I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that this guy has us where we are right now. We are in 6th. There's an opportunity to succeed. There's an opportunity to fail. I don't think there's anything wrong with going through the rest of the season to see what happens. Because ultimately, if he ends up doing a good job, whether you think he has a high chance or a low chance, even if he has a low chance, he can still do it. So if it happens, that's good for us. Because then we don't have to sack a manager and we don't have to restart the process. If it fails, well, then we have to do that by default. Because there's no other choice. So, I'm not in for sacking him now. It doesn't make sense. When we get to the end of the season, if we're not in the position that we need to be in, and that ultimately the season goes to a failure, well, I already accept that he'll lose his job. I'm not going to say I'm going to sit there and ask him for him to be sacked, because I think he'll just get sacked. Because I don't think he can go past this. Like, I think they took the brunt of the blame for last season, but they bring him in players, and he had a preseason, and, you know, a lot of this is on him in terms of, and he makes decisions, he's making calls, he's lining up the teams. Okay, your job is to go get points. There's still a whole nother part of the season. I'm not in the business of cutting this guy short just because you feel like it's definitely going to be better if we get rid of him right now and get somebody else in. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. So, you know, shit happens in football. Sometimes people are able to turn things around. Sometimes things don't look quite well, and then they come good. Or sometimes they look like shit, and they end up like shit. But I'd rather just see it play out. Lawrence says, subconsciously, I think a lot of influencers admire the Chelsea approach, but I fear INEOS might also look at our manager the same way now. Well, I think they do. I think they do. But again, like, you know, to me, Lawrence, it doesn't make sense. Like, you want what Chelsea has, but we don't have what Chelsea has. So, you want to do what Chelsea does, but we're literally incapable of doing it. So what? Just be a mopey, grumpy prick for the entire time and demand something that's never going to happen so that you can just continue to make videos and content and of you bitching and moaning? Because that's how I see it. I mean, you're asking for something that's totally unrealistic. It's like you walking around mad because you want to sleep with fucking, Margot Robbie or Sydney Sweeney, and you fucking hate life because you can't do it. And it's like, that's so unrealistic. You are a fucking regular person. You're never going to meet her. You're never going to get that chance. Like, it's not going to happen, bro. It's not going to happen. And then you're going to be mad at the world, and you're going to be mad at everything because I can't sleep with Sydney Sweeney. Like, too fucking bad, bro. Get over it. Go move on to something else. Like, they want to do what Chelsea does. Okay, great. We're never going to do it. Not under what we got. Not what we have going on. And actually, I don't even think Chelsea's model is that successful. Like, they do this where they go through like a bunch of years and periods where like it's just an utter disaster. They end up winning like the title once, or they win the Champions League, and then it doesn't sustain itself. And that guy ends up getting sacked, and they go through the whole process again. So I don't even think it's that great of a business model anyway. So I don't even know why you would want to be envious of that. They pop up every once in a while and win, and then that guy that won them, there's not even any loyalty. The relationship breaks down, and those people get either sacked or they leave the football club. I don't want United to be like that. I want United to have a guy that wins the Premier League or wins the Champions League, and then they force him out the door. When we get a guy that does it, I want them to fucking stay here for as long as possible. As long as they continue to keep us at that level. Chelsea don't do that. Chelsea don't do that at all. Everything at Chelsea is you are expendable and you are a number. Like, it's not even like human. It's not even human at all. Players there that aren't going to play, players that get tossed aside like they're absolutely nothing. There's no loyalty to them. There's no loyalty to any of the managers. I don't want my football club to be like that. No. Chelsea could be like that. Let them be like that. That's fine. And if the Chelsea fans are happy with that, go ahead. You're a Chelsea fan. I don't give a shit. But I don't want my football club to be like them. That's not my football club. But this man doesn't have what it takes, and we don't have time to wait for him to improve. Again, he might not have what it takes. It ain't done yet. It ain't done yet. It's not done yet. He still has a season to prove if he does or not. He had a goal set for him. It was European football. That is his goal. This is what the board set out for him and for the team. He can get it. Points wise, it's there. We need some answers. But I think right now it's an unfortunate period because we've lost 7 out of our 11 starting players, but so I think it's made a shit situation. Not helping the situation because everything starts compounding on top of each other. So yeah, I think it's a shit situation. I think the fact that when they bring him in is shit. I think they fucked him over in terms of that. Again, this would be his first season. And if he had us here in our first season, nobody would be saying a damn thing. Nobody would be saying a damn thing. Not a single thing. At all. Nobody would be complaining. And he was right to not want to come in November because he fucking knew. He knew. But he did it because he wanted to manage this football club. Because it is an honor to manage this football club. And he might not get this opportunity again. So, and putting past his better judgment of coming in a period where he didn't want to come, and most managers don't, because most managers don't want to take over in the middle of a season. Like, Chelsea are going to hire this guy. I don't know anything about this guy. You think this guy from Strasbourg, you think this guy's going to do a good job? You know, I don't know. He might. I don't really know anything about him, but he don't really look like he's anything special. I think it's crazy that they sacked Maresca and they're going to go get this guy. Who the fuck is this guy? And how long is that going to last? How long would they give him? The United Tube needs sensationalism just like news channels. Well, sure, that's what they do, but I'll call them out for being sensationalist bullshit. Bro, you could be sensationalist and still make a good argument, okay? They don't make good arguments. And they're fake. Alright? They're fake. You can be sensationalist and still be real. Alright? These people they're fake. You say sacking this manager makes sense to you, but when you say things like Zidane and Pep Guardiola, that's where you lose me, because now you're just saying things that are unrealistic, that are never going to happen, and what you want. Like, there's a lot of things that I want, I don't say them, because it's never going to happen. It's pointless to talk about. You have to like talk in like the actual realism of what's happening. I don't even know who you can get at this point as a manager. Who is even available that's actually realistic? Because I don't even know. Because I'm looking at Chelsea and they're looking at this guy from Strasbourg, and that's telling me that there ain't no fucking managers available. That's what I'm looking at. I mean, they just wanted to go for Cesc Fabregas and he told them no. So he's going to come and tell us, yes, we're going to go get Cesc. They don't want Xavi. And they have more money and they're in a better position than us. So actually, I'm watching this Chelsea situation unfold right now, and I'm like, well, let's see who they get as manager. They're going for this Strasbourg guy, which I think is nuts. But okay. Young guy. Maybe new face of football. I don't know how that works well at Chelsea because they don't seem to give anybody time. But also, I'm like, well, I don't know. You're telling me that's the only guy they got available. You're telling me that Chelsea, you know, if you're unhappy with the way Maresca took it and you want to go challenge for the Premier League, you're telling me you're not going to go get somebody else? Or is it because you can't get somebody else? Because there's nobody available? Lauren says, breaking that the club have reopened Baleba talks, good enough news. Yeah, but it's not going anywhere, Lawrence. That the Baleba talks is for the summer, though. The update that we got. You know. The update that we got for Baleba was that they reopened it, but Brighton are unwilling to do a deal in January, and it's not going to happen. So, there was a couple updates here. How long have we been live for? I don't even know where we are today. An hour 44. Okay. Sometimes I am joking, and sometimes I'm decent. I am like Gattuso, sometimes good, sometimes shit. Well, you know what? I actually like that. That's funny. That's a funny comment. All right, I'll give you that one. All right. All right, that was actually a good one. That was actually a good one. I'll give you that one. I'll give you that one. I'll give you that one for sure. But Axe, I can't tell when you're joking. To be quite honest, I can't. You are one person that I can't tell when you're joking. I don't know if it's because you go back and forth way too much. I don't know what it is, but I know when you're being serious because you tell me you're being serious, or at least I give you the benefit of the doubt that you're being serious. But usually when you tell me you're being serious, you actually make a actually serious comment. So I guess I should just take it as when you don't tell me you're being serious that you're joking. But I don't know how to do that for you. So yes, there's been a couple updates while we've been live. So one of these things is, here we go. We were talking about Jack Fletcher before, yes? Lucky says Ugarte now fully convinced of joining SC Galatasaray, source Turkey, top brass now brewing. Well, we'll see. Because again, we're getting fed two sides of the story here, okay? We're getting, I don't even know if two sides. Maybe you should say three sides. I think there's a few different sides. Like, we're being told that no movement is going to happen. Then we're being told, like, if anything was to happen, it would be after our three players at AFCON come back into the team, which only leaves room for the second half of January. So, like, January, 15th or something like that to the 30th, 31st, whatever it is. And then we have the other part in that, like, deals like Ugarte or deals like Zirkzee are basically, like, heating up, getting more serious, looking like they're going to happen. So, again, the situation right now is we're, like, a little bit, I don't know if it's done on purpose. I don't know if this is sort of what INEOS wants from the direction of the club. I don't know if it's a combination of what they want and just natural order of things, that it's sort of all over the place because transfer windows, rumors are, and everything starts pulling you in different directions, and that's been done before. But yeah, I mean, we're getting fed right now. We're getting fed like 3 to 4 different versions of almost the same thing, but it's 3 to 4 different versions. We're not doing any business. There's negotiations ongoing for Zirkzee and Ugarte. We won't look to do any business until the second week or the third week of January. Nobody's allowed to leave the club unless we have a replacement lined up for them. We're interested in midfielders, but our main targets aren't available in January and they're only available in the summer. But there's the midfield is a priority, and we are looking to possibly do something, but there has to be something, that's worth it. It's all over the place. Like, these are all, I'm just, I'm wrapping up basically everything that's being told to us over the past, today, yesterday, and last week, pretty much. This is everything that's being told to us. So it's like one angle. Well, which one's true? What's going to be true? What's actually going to happen? We don't seem capable of achieving anything at the moment. Maybe we could settle for Gallagher to shadow Casemiro. Well, the thing about Gallagher is that the update that I read today is that Atletico Madrid are being adamant that they will not let him leave on loan. The only way he leaves that football club is through a permanent transfer. So I don't know. Then it really boils down to how much do you like Conor Gallagher and how good do you think he is? And I guess the price. I would assume the price is probably like 25, 30 million. I don't think it'll be any higher than that. But yeah, then that boils down to, see, for me, if you tell me Conor Gallagher loan, sign him up. I don't even care what he really looks like. I don't even really need to know. Because it's a loan, and it for sure, I know that he's good at pressing on both ends of the pitch. And that can help for, what we need. We need somebody that can press and win the ball back. That will definitely help. I'm sure he's got other abilities. He's not terrible. He's got to be better than Ugarte at passing the ball, for sure. So, but yeah, I don't know. Like, it is just a bit confusing. But there is a couple other updates here. So one is we were talking about Jack Fletcher before, and they said Jack Fletcher coming on ahead of Joshua Zirkzee versus Newcastle, and then his removal for Fletcher at halftime against Wolves are the beginning of the end for the striker. If he goes, Manchester United will look to bring in a replacement in January. That's from Samuel Luckhurst, and that came out an hour ago. So I would like to think, listen, I went on the rant in the beginning of the show, and I said that there is no way that they can possibly give me any sort of excuse, and it would be okay that we go through this period of January and not do some movement, okay? So at this moment in time, I am expecting them to do something, because I'm expecting them to actually be serious in their project and trying to have a successful season. And like we covered before, it makes more sense money-wise. If you think they're all about money, well, it makes more sense if you spend a little bit money so that you can maybe guarantee a little bit more, that you have a better chance at finishing in a position that's going to make you more money for next season. So these things are, I think they have to do it. So I think they will do it in terms of that, you know, I think that I kind of hope and I kind of feel like they're playing the same tune that they played when we were heading into the summer transfer window, in that they are sort of hitting this middle line of like, yeah, like, you know, we might do business, but we're not really that desperate. So, you know, it's not that much of an urgency, but behind the scenes, they're making things, they're trying to look at things or making things work, or working on things behind the scenes. And then, you know, we'll get some movement at some point. And then, you know, maybe it'll be one or two people out and maybe one or two people in, or two people out, one in, something to that cause and effect. But yeah, like, listen, I mean, some people might have a darker view because they think they truly think that INEOS is the worst people ever and that they are the most dumbest people ever. I am a bit sort of still in between, you know, still in between. I don't think they're all 100% bad. They've done some bad stuff or made some bad mistakes. I think they've done some good stuff. But for me, always it'll be the actions. So, you know, they've had some bad actions. They've had some good actions. And I'll see what their actions are in January. For me, again, it's quite clear cut. You know, if you do something that looks good and then ends up having a good impact in January and like helps us, and the rest of the season goes well, well then, you know, good for them, and I'll give them credit. But if they don't do anything, if they don't get signings, or they make a shitty signing, and we have a shitty end to the season, well then, you know, they shit, like they fucked it up, and you know, they got it wrong, and then it's just another point in the you know, they suck at their job department. So Ugarte can leave immediately. Lucky, relax, bro. Relax. We gotta wait for it to happen. Relax. We can get talks with contract to be 220,000 a week. Ruben Neves camp. Well, I don't know if they would do that. You know, they weren't willing to give Semenyo over a certain amount. I don't think they're going to give Ruben Neves 220,000 a week. I don't think that's going to happen. So, and I don't know about Ruben Neves, because there's one story saying that he's available for 15, 20 million. There's another story that comes out and says that Ruben Neves is not going to leave. So, well, I don't know. Lauren says, Ugarte is a player who won't survive at the club outside of 43, so if he goes, take that how you will about Amorim's future. Well, I'm not worried about Amorim's future right now. Like, I don't think he's going to get sacked. Like, I don't think, like, you know, like, some people are trying to say this whole, like, you know, they don't want to back him in the transfer market because they're going to, like, they probably feel like they're going to end up sacking him. I'm like, well, that's stupid anyway. Again, whether he's here or not, the club should know what kind of... All right, if these guys, INEOS, are actually doing their fucking job, the club should have the identity without Ruben. So when Ruben gets sacked, what are we doing? This is the bigger issue. This is why Ruben is irrelevant to me to a certain degree. If Ruben gets sacked, what are we doing? Are we going back to a 4-3-3? Are we playing counterattack? Are we not going to play high pressing? Are we changing the identity again? Are we going to try and build a totally different identity to the one that we're trying to build now? Because if we do that, then, you know, we're everybody's wasting our time. We're all wasting our time. Okay? And we should probably go on a hiatus until, I don't know, you know, these people all leave, and then we'll come back and we'll have a serious discussion. But if you're doing your job the way it should be done, the way it's supposed to work, is the club should be working on the identity along with the manager. If that manager is sacked, the club's identity should continue, and the next guy that comes in should align with that identity of the club. So if that's the case, well, there should be a player that you can go get that fits the identity and the playing style of what we're going to do, whether Ruben is here or he gets sacked and we're getting another guy. So I don't really buy this. His future is really in jeopardy, and that's why they're not going to buy anybody. Because that also doesn't make sense to me, because it's like, well, you might as well just sack him now then, if that's the case. If that's real and that's the case, they might as well just sack him now, because we obviously need help and we need a push, and you're not going to give it to him, so he's more than likely probably going to fail at that point. Because you're not giving him improved odds, and everybody else is improving their odds. So his odds of succeeding are going less than what they are right now. Right now, like at this moment in time, nobody's done a transfer. Everybody's the same. Everybody's team is the same, and everybody's in the situation that we're in. There is a certain percentage of him succeeding. If you don't do a transfer and everybody else does a transfer, well, that probably gets cut in half. So if you say it's 30%, well, it goes to 15. I'd rather have 30 than 15. If you say he has a 50% chance, well, it's 25 then. I'd rather have 50 than 25. So, I take Amorim's words as broken English for no new information to give, as opposed to, we aren't signing shit for January. I think most channels are panicking because they think the latter. Let's see. Well, you know what? That's a good point. I mean, he does speak a bit broken English, and sometimes, you know, his meaning does get lost in translation. I have talked about that. Now, obviously, you know, the thumbnail was a bit clickbaity, okay? And, you know, I will do that from time to time, but I will promise, and I've always promised, but I will always promise the community that you will never get a fake opinion from me, okay? So the thumbnail could be clickbaity, you know, sue me. Everybody does it, and we need to get people, because I want to grow the community. So we need to get people interested to click, okay? But what I won't do, and what I will always do, is I will never come here and make up a fake opinion because I think it's popular or it'll get more interest, okay? The discussions we have inside of here will always be real to what I believe, all right? But yes, like, that's a good point. All right, and I got a little bit lost in the rant that I had earlier, because my thing is I really like it. If we don't do business, I just think it's so unacceptable, and it's so disgraceful to so many levels, and it's so unserious that it's just like I think it's a disaster across the board. I think it's like a dominoes effect if you don't do business in January. I think this season goes to shit. Ruben gets screwed. The project gets screwed. The summer gets screwed. Next season gets screwed. Like, you know, it's like there's like 10 things that get impacted by not doing something in January. So to me, there's just no, it's just not even an option to not do something. So I hope they do something, because they need to do something, and it's not for them. I don't care about them. Like, I don't care if it makes them look good. I'm not saying they got to do something so that they save their face in the public perception. They need to do something because I want my football club to succeed. And I think without doing something in January, my football club has a lesser chance of succeeding. But yes, that is a good point, Renault. So sometimes he does say things. English is not his first language. And I do think that it was a bit blown out of proportion as well. Like, the way he said it and the way people wrote it, even I put it in the stream title, so I'll be fair, but it said no signings. Like, it's the second day of fucking January. There's no way they tell you there's no signings on the second day of January and there's about 29 days left, Let's see what happens, Let's see what happens. Now, if we get, and there's 3 days left in January and we've done nothing, then everybody let's lose our heads and let's fucking scream, INEOS out and, let's hate them for sure. See, he can't even speak English, but that's not a reason to hate somebody. That's so totally not a reason to hate somebody at all. Okay? And in fact, like, this is the thing, like, you say he can't speak English properly. He's a Portuguese guy that's never had to really speak English before. The fact that he could speak English to the level he speaks English is actually really fucking good. Alright? I don't take that against people. Like, the bro was Portuguese, born in Portugal, grew up in Portugal, and played in Portugal, and managed in Portugal. The guy only needed to speak Portuguese. He didn't need to speak English. The fact that he speaks English to the level he speaks English, I think he speaks English better than fucking Ten Hag speaks English, sometimes. And Ten Hag is Dutch. My opinions are not fake, nor are they popular. Well, yeah, but sometimes you say things that are... Maybe they're not fake, but... They're not realistic. And sometimes they're not popular, but sometimes... I mean, yeah, there's a lot of what a lot of people say online. Yeah, like you say some of the things they say. So maybe they're copying you, Axe. Maybe you're just so big and just so great that they're copying you. Maybe they're just copying what you're saying. Could be. I don't know what you do outside this channel. You might be running an empire for all I know. Do you think Bruno could become a player manager? Makes me think of gigs, actually, as interim. January window is very important. Given the World Cup, too. No. Not at this time. Why wouldn't... I don't think he has... I don't think he has any aspirations to be a manager. As far as I know. I mean, he's never talked about it, but... And January window is important given the World Cup too. Well, that's another good point as well. I mean, now is the chance. Yeah, it's difficult, but listen, the summer's going to be difficult too. Like, this is why I don't accept these stories. And I don't think anybody in the fan base, like, yes, we should be looking to do good business in the summer, but anybody, I would advise anybody in this fan base, don't fall for that bullshit in that they're gonna, like, they tried to sell you Anderson and Baleba for the summer, and you say, listen, we're gonna get them in the summer. It's okay. It's okay. It's all right. Listen, as long as they get them in the summer for me, it's okay. It's fine if we don't get anything in January. No, wrong, because as I've explained many times, the implications from not giving you the best chance possible, or a better chance, or an improved chance from going into January can have devastating impacts in the summer. And there's a World Cup. So this summer coming up is not going to be like the summer we just went through. A lot of the players are not going to be available from, mid-late June-ish to like mid-July. You've lost a whole month of transfers. And then it's only a couple weeks till we start preseason, and then it's only maybe about a month until the season starts again. So it's not that long of a turnaround. No, yeah, I got you, Reynoso. I know what you're talking about. I didn't take that as me. I didn't take that as me, so don't worry about it, brother. Will you burn against INEOS if they don't do anything? I have to ask. Will you turn against Amorim if we don't qualify for the European Cup? Well, I have to. I'm not going to turn against him. I tell you right now. I think if we don't get Europe, I think he will lose his job. And if INEOS doesn't get, if they don't do some sort of business in January to give him the best possible chance, well, I think we'll suffer because of that. I think he'll suffer because of that, and I think ultimately he'll end up losing his job, and then we'll be screwed. So, yeah, like, I mean, for me, listen, I always give opportunities and chances. So they have a month to show me that they're serious or that they are the right people in terms of that, like, they're not totally 100% incompetent. Because I think the highest level of incompetence that you could show is doing what Glazers do and not buying anybody in January, whether because you don't want to spend the money or because you think that this squad can achieve 4th place with what we have already. You know, the math doesn't add there. It doesn't. Because any football person, whether you're, you know, a professional football person or just a fan, I think all of us, whatever we disagree on, right? I think all of us would argue, if you had the opportunity to buy somebody in January to add to your squad that could potentially give you a better season or make things better for the football club, and not even just the season, but like obviously then further down the road, so you're going to add to the squad. I think every Manchester United fan, whether you're Ruben in, Ruben out, you hate INEOS, you don't hate INEOS, I think everybody would just say, like, yeah, no shit, like, let's go buy in January. So to me, it's like, if they don't do it, I can't back that, because that, to me, it's Glazers. It's Glazers. It might not be specifically for money, but it's either for money or they're idiots. Because they believe that this squad doesn't need improvement. And I've heard that Glazer line as well. Now, probably that Glazer line was because of money, but they fed us that line as well. Where they were like, they you know, how many times did I go through a January window where I read the news that said United aren't really looking to do any business, they feel the squad is good enough? And what was the result of that? What was the result of us thinking that the squad we have is good enough, so we did nothing? And then what happened? We had a shit end of the season, and that manager that was there ended up losing their job. Whether it was at the end of that season, in the middle of that season, or the season after. So yeah, I mean, like, they, like, you know, I don't have to burn them. You know, they'll burn themselves. Like, if they don't do business, like, they just burn themselves by default. Like, I don't even have to do it. It's not like I just have to, like, I make the decision now. Like, it's just, it's, to me, it's just 2 + 2 = 4. Like, I mean, if you don't do that, to me, that's just unacceptable on every level. Like, there's no excuses for it at all. So, and then I think the consequences of that will lead to a domino effect of a bunch of shit. I think Ruben will have, like, I think Ruben will have a way less a chance of actually getting us in the European spot, which I think is a you know, disservice to him as a manager of the football club that you want to succeed because you hired him. I mean, that's the whole point, right? This is what I'm saying. Like, the whole point is, like, they hired him because they liked him and they want him to do well, and they're in charge of Manchester United, and they're trying to do this project that they're talking about. So, like, if that's all true, then you can't not do anything in January. Otherwise, you know, it just doesn't make sense. And I don't believe in that gamble. Again, like, these guys, I think they tend to, they've taken a couple massive gambles and they haven't really worked out to the best. I'm not willing to do another massive gamble, especially in the situation where I'm not willing to do a massive gamble right now. I think the sure thing is that you say we go and get somebody for a decently good price. There's players out there for sure. You can sign somebody for 25, 30 million. And don't tell me we don't have 25, 30 million, because we're literally just about to go spend 65 million on Semenyo. So, Lucky says I block certain channels, fans, how just have certain agendas about managers. Well, the thing about it is like, listen, for me, I mean, at this time, because, you know, of how big we are, you guys get to speak to me for free. You know what I mean? And, well, like, you know, you don't have to necessarily send super chats. The problem with those big channels is, like, you have to actually spend money to get your point across. Because they very rarely are just going to read out the comments and have a conversation like we have conversations. So, you know, I used to sit there and I'd watch the shows and I'm like, they always say something. You know, I don't watch it anymore. To be honest, like, this is what kind of sucks about doing this, is the one thing, because I used to be one of those people that I consume that content and I would watch. I don't watch it anymore. A lot. I barely watch it. Every once in a while, I'll watch like one show here and there of random people. You know, I'll watch I'll watch a Goldbridge thing once to see what he's talking about every once in a blue moon. I used to watch it all the time. I don't watch it anymore because I don't want to repeat anything they're saying. I want to come in here fresh with my own thoughts, not listening to anything they're saying. I don't want to be influenced by anything they're saying. I'm going to come in here with my own thoughts and have a discussion with my community. So I don't really watch these shows anymore. All right? I did once upon a time, but I don't do it anymore. Because listen, whether you're easily convinced or not, when you listen to people speak, they still put thoughts and ideas into your head. And some of them are actually very good at sort of manipulation, right? So I just don't even want that. I don't even want that at all. So I don't watch people anymore. But I do sometimes. I watch like Flex and KG because I think they're a bit different, and you know, they're quite funny and entertaining. And sometimes when I'm feeling, you know, maybe a bit sad or down about the club, like I'll go watch them because they always have a good laugh. They joke around. They say funny shit. And I think they're different. So, you know, especially KG. KG to me is a hilarious guy, and I love him. I think he's great. He says some ridiculous things sometimes, but I think it's like you got to judge his character. Like, he is a comedian, yeah? Like, you know, he says things that are outlandish. It's just who he is. So I know not to get mad at the guy when he says some things, because I'm like, that's just how he is. He's always been like that. So it's not like KG is always serious, or he tries to be 100% serious, and then he starts saying ridiculous stuff, and it's like, oh, because I see people get mad at him for stuff like that, and I'm like, the guy is a comedian. Like, he's constantly saying funny, weird shit. You know, like, he's actually a comedian. Why do you take him so seriously? But then sometimes, you know, the guy does get serious because he does care about United, and he has serious discussions. And actually, I think when he does the serious bit, he actually makes a lot of sense, and he actually says some good points. So, but yeah, I haven't watched any of their shows in quite a while. But yeah, what I was saying about that was because I used to watch their shows, and they would say things that I would totally disagree with or piss me off that they would saying that, because I'm like, you're saying something, but as soon as you said that, about 5 holes in that argument just popped into my head. But I can't get that point across to you and everybody watching because there's no call in, and I have to pay money to send you a super chat, and the super chat is limited in words. So it used to be very frustrating. Anyway. But yeah. Axe says, we can't excuse winter transfers because of the World Cup. All teams have to deal with that. Why have you rushed to transfer Amorim if you don't rush to build his team? Well, exactly. I mean, well, the thing is like, we need to get the players in January. And these guys, I mean, some of the things we're getting pushed to us is like, again, like, how long have we been getting the update about Baleba, about Anderson, about Wharton? It's been like months now. It's been almost since, the summer window closed, probably since September. We've been getting updates about these guys. And every update is like, yeah, they're the top targets, but they're not going to happen in January, but you'll see them next summer. And, we're in January right now, and we just got a bunch of updates about Wharton, Baleba, and Anderson again. And it's just the same repetitive thing, that it's not going to happen in January, and it's going to happen in the summer. And it's like, again, these people that like read this, because there are people out there that will read that and be like, well, listen, those are some serious targets. I really like those players. As long as we go and get those players in the summer, then it's okay if we don't get anybody in January. And it's like, no, that is wrong. Because January has a massive impact. And if we don't finish in a good position, I'm telling you now, like, those people out there that believe that, like, you can kiss Wharton 100% goodbye. Like, 100%. Like, there's not even a 1% chance. And Anderson, Elliot Anderson, you can kiss him goodbye too. There's not even a 1% chance. If the rest of the season ends in a disaster, and we're not even in Europe or something like that, kiss him goodbye. They're not even going to look at us. They're not even going to entertain us. Because when Liverpool or Man City or Chelsea or Arsenal go in for one of them and say, well, here's our project. We offer you the same wage or maybe better than United. We're in Champions League. We're in the top 4. We've been in the top 4 consistently. These guys have no consistency. And you don't have some weird, strange love for Manchester United. But you're never coming to Man United, are you? So these people that are like, yeah, we'll wait till the summer. We'll get Elliot Anderson for sure. And then you get to the summer and we failed because we didn't do any business in January. And then you get to the summer and then they come out with the line of, well, United really pushed for Elliot Anderson, but ultimately, he chose to go to Manchester City. There's nothing we could do about it. And they just go, oh, well, we tried. There's nothing we could do about it. It's like, no, you idiots. Like, the opportunity was back in January. We fucking blew it. We blew it at that time. We blew the opportunity. We could have had the opportunity to get him. We didn't do business. So we need, and like we said, there's a World Cup. So it's not like as soon as the league is over and June comes around, it's not like we're going to sign 2-3 players in June. Most of our targets that we would sign for the summer, we ain't going to sign them till after mid-July because they're going to be playing the World Cup. Alice Said rants, all make screaming, get views. Well, Said is the worst one. I'm telling you right now. Said is the worst. Said is the worst guy in the whole fan base. To me, he's embarrassing. Okay, he's so embarrassing. Like, the way he mixes content and these clips and the way he acts, he is so embarrassing to the entire United fan base. Good for him that he does it, and he'll do what you want, how you want it. That's how you want to grow your channel, and that's how you want to be seen. By all means, go ahead. But I am then also allowed to say that I think that you are a clown. That's just how it works. And to me, he's embarrassing. So I think he's the worst one. And I hate his content. I despise his content, okay? So I don't even bother to watch it. Sometimes clips pop up randomly because, again, he makes United content. I follow a lot of United stuff, like sources, news information, some United fans and stuff like that. So it naturally pops up. And every time I'm just like, this is a fucking joke, but whatever, It's not up to me to decide if he gets to be loved or not. It's up to the general mass. So I don't have to like him. And I'm one of those people, like, listen, if I don't like you, I ain't watching you. And I ain't taking the time out of my day to go, comment on shit. You know, that's something I always find very weird. Like, a lot of people hate Goldbridge, right? And I don't hate Goldbridge, but a lot of people hate Mark Goldbridge, okay? But a lot of people then take the time to go on his channel and his Twitter and write comments to him. Whether they're good or bad, they write comments to him. And I'm just like, you are giving him what he wants, because he doesn't actually give a fuck about you people. So no matter what you say to him, he just looks at it and he's like, nice, I got another comment. Nice, I got another interaction. Whereas if you actually don't like him and you don't like his content, what people should do is not watch it, because then the numbers go lower. They don't get as much traction, but people don't realize what they do. They get too angry, they can't contain themselves, and they feel like they have to go say something to him. They gotta go call him out. They gotta go, talk shit. And it's like, dude, really? Like, for me, if I don't like your content, I don't watch it. I just don't watch it. I don't bother. I'm not gonna respond to any of your stuff. You put out a tweet, I ain't gonna respond to it. I don't follow you. That's just it. That's it. And then I just carry on with my life, and they could go do whatever they want. They could go do whatever they want. Christopher Favell, we got injuries, please. Ugarte go. Lucky, we get it, bro. We get you want Ugarte to go. Like, relax, let it happen, my friend. We get it, man. KG is good with his chums. I like the I don't know how to pronounce that word. Of the more street influencers. I watch Forever United because they're older fans, more based around. Well, there's a lot. Listen, there's a lot of them out there. Like, I don't even know. No, I'm not like disrespecting them or anything, but I don't even know like Forever United. I never even watched it. I can only consume so much content in my life, and at this point in life, I can't even consume as much content as I used to. So, I literally, like, I just can't. Like, it's a lot, and I watch a lot of other non-United content as well. So there's just so much I could watch. So I literally it was like United stand, then obviously Flex was part of that, but he left and made United View, them and the Football Terrorists. Those are like the three that I was like able to get to. I know a couple other ones, but I just like to watch them. I was like, I don't have the time. I don't have the time to be watching all these guys and all these shows. So, yeah, see, like, Renosa says chef for post. Oh, chef for post? Definitely rational like you and me. All right, well, I'll check them out. I'll check them out. Check out Sal at chef for post. I'll check them out when I get an opportunity. I tried again with Sal this morning, but he is so incredibly resistant to resistant of criticism of anything Ruben does. Eric versus Saeed beef, when? Well, I mean, I'm sure a guy of his following wouldn't even entertain me, but if he would, I would. I've said this multiple times. I would love to. I would debate him, but I mean, why would he take me up on that offer? I'm nobody compared to him. Him debating me doesn't do anything for him. So from his point of view, it doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? It doesn't do anything for him. I'm not known, and I have a small channel. So him, even if he was like, come on my show and debate me, I would go on his show and debate him. But it wouldn't make sense for him to have me on his show, because I'm nobody. Like, I'm not known. I'm not well known. So it doesn't do anything for him. So I wouldn't even expect him to do it. But if I get big enough, where I have a large enough voice, I will take it upon myself to 100% challenge him to a debate. 100%. Not a beef. I'm not going to go back and forth with him, but I'd debate him. 100%. I would debate him. I'd sit down and have a discussion with him. I have no problem doing that with anybody. I would do that with almost anybody. Practically anybody, actually. I don't think there's somebody out there that I wouldn't do it with. But yeah, I mean, it would have to make sense, So, yeah, I wouldn't. It's not a beef. Like, listen, I like the way I say it. Like, I don't like his content, and I like for me to say I don't like him. Like, I don't know him, so I can't say I don't really like him. But I don't like his content. I don't like how he goes about things. Okay, but I don't know him as a person. Like, you know, I don't know him in real life. So it's not fair to say that I don't like him, because I don't really know him, but I don't like the content he puts out, and I don't like some of the things he says, and I disagree with a lot of the things he says or the way he goes about things. So I would debate him 100%. But no beef. Like, I'm not. It's not like I'm gonna go like on X and like, you know, troll him and call him out every day of my life, or like, you know, start, you know, some like a beef. Yeah, like I'm not gonna take my time to do things like that. Amorim looked a broken man today during the conference, though. Well, he did look something like that. He did, and this has led to speculation. Now, I think some people have taken it a bit far in terms of saying, I mean, I said it in the beginning of the show. I said he did look like a guy that was told that he's not going to get some type of reinforcements. For whatever reason, he didn't look, you know, maybe he was just having a bad day for all we know. You know what I mean? Maybe it was just one of those days. I don't know. He's a human being. You ever wake up and you were just sort of grumpy and you just kind of fucking hated the day for whatever reason? And you were just like, you know what? Fuck today. Maybe he was having one of those. I don't know. He's human. Like, is he not allowed to have one of those? I don't know. But I said he sort of looked like a guy that went to his superiors and was like, hey, we need to get somebody. Like, I need players. Like, we need to do business in January. And he looked like he was told that there ain't a good chance of that happening. And then he walked out of there and was like, yeah, we're probably fucked then. Like, that's how the type of unhappy he looked. The type of unhappy looked like he knows he needs something, and he knows because he's been told that he's not going to get it. So he's just like, this is fucked. You know, well, I wouldn't be happy either, but who knows what it is? I mean, I don't know. Like, he was pretty unhappy before he was asked about the question about the January market. So it wasn't like he was all smiles, and then they asked him about January, and all of a sudden he got all, you know, pouty and stuff. He started off like that, and we seen him like this a few weeks ago, or a month ago, or 2 months ago, however long ago it was, where I said he looked a bit defeated. He looked a bit down. He looked a bit dejected. Maybe he's still upset about the result against Wolves. You know, I don't know. It could be a numerous amounts of things. We could literally speculate all day. Maybe, you know, after that result, he got called in there and Sir Jim told him, you know, if you lose 2 more matches, I'm going to fucking sack you. And maybe he's upset about that. I don't know. Could be anything. Maybe, you know, he had a fight with his wife in the morning before he left, and he's been fucking miserable all day. You know, who knows? Who knows? Let's see. You know what I mean? Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens with the Leeds match and shit. Let's see if we could get a result. Let's see how he is then. Let's see what happens after. You know, there's a couple things. Saeed would have a fight in Old Trafford car park if it boosts subs. He wants to be the red Jake Paul. Well, he's certainly not afraid of confrontation, although, you know, again, I don't really like that. I think that part is like, there's just no need for it, man. You don't need to be acting like that towards other United fans, you know. Somebody pressed him I saw a video, somebody pressed him last time in the parking lot, and, you know, he had like 6 of his people around him, and I think it was like one old white guy or something like that, or, you know, old man or whatever, and, you know, he was telling him, like, you know, the guy was like, fuck you, fuck this, like, screaming at him. And, you know, Saeed's like, yeah, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? I'm like, dude, come on. I was like, first of all, it's not even fair, bro. I was like, you got like 6 of your guys with you. I was like, that guy's by himself, or he's with somebody else, and he's some old man. I was like, if he even tried to touch you, you wouldn't fight him one-on-one. Your boys would jump in, and you'd beat the shit out of them, because it's a 2v6. Like... So I was like, dude, like, yeah, I don't know. I was like, you want to be tough and stuff. You want to, and when you like that too, like you're screaming at people, you know, you're being like obviously that stuff's gonna come back to you. Like, you know, Cash Shavam. Oh, hold on, I missed. Access, do you want me to go to his channel, trigger him until he accepts the debate? No, not yet. Not yet. Not yet. In due time, Max. In due time. Not yet. Because if I'm gonna debate him, Axe, I gotta actually watch his content more, yeah? Because I have to actually. If I'm going to debate somebody, I'm gonna have to actually watch everything they say because I'm gonna need to come with the facts. So I need to know what they're about. Otherwise, they could just say whatever they want to me in that moment in time. So if I actually have to debate him, I would actually have to go watch all his content because I need to get the whole scope and picture of everything that this guy says. Lawrence says, and I think a few players will stay injured just not to go to Leeds. You think that they're saying that they're not back just to avoid Leeds? You think that they're afraid to go play Leeds? Sanchi says he looked like he has been betrayed. Yeah, I mean, listen again. Like, who knows what it is, man? You know what I mean? Who knows what it is? Like, I don't know. Could be. Maybe he was betrayed. Maybe he's been let down. Maybe INEOS, you know, maybe he feels like he's fucked because he doesn't agree with what maybe he's having arguments with Wilcox and Barada and he's like, I need players. And they're telling him he's not going to get players. And he's just like, this is fucking bullshit. And he's upset because, look at the results. And look at like some of the struggle that we have. And, as much as anybody can hate him, obviously I think the guy is genuine in terms of he would love nothing more than to finish as high as fucking possible. He would love if we can get Champions League football and we can be like, stronger and competitive and not so inconsistent. Because obviously that's part of his work. Like, so it's him, but like he'll be proud of himself, but he'll also like make the club better. And he genuinely wants to try to do that in his way. So, it could be that. But it could be anything else, I said. Like, maybe it's just one of those days he woke up, just not fucking feeling it. Maybe he had a fight with his wife. Maybe, maybe some guy cut him off in traffic or some shit. Who knows? I don't know. We'll find out, though. I mean, the thing is because we seen him like this a few weeks ago. He was very similar to the way he was today. Like, he was like that a couple weeks ago, and I was a bit concerned because I said he looked defeated. And he looked down. But that sort of changed after that. So it didn't stay like that. And, we got a couple of results. And in between that time, from that point, we had a couple of results. And then we had some setbacks in between that time. But he was coming back into the press conferences. He was smiling and he was fine. So, yeah, I don't know. Cashavam says, how do we score? Only way I see is a big mistake or maybe corner. Cunha looks Wolves standards still, and Sesko doesn't have that finishing in him yet. We are doomed, and INEOS can't see it. Well, I think very much so right now, it is very difficult to see how we actually score. It's, it is a bit weird because, listen, we did have some chances against Wolves. Sesko had about 3 different opportunities. None of them were converted. But yes, the bigger overall issue is, especially right now, the 3 people that I deem creators in the team. I mean, there's maybe that I would deem 5 of them, but 3 central creators in Bruno, Kobe, and Mason Mount, they're not available. And we quite clearly, there's nobody that's available to play. There's nobody that has any of their abilities. They can't replicate it. they don't play the game like it. There's just no chance that we're gonna get any sort of level that they bring from somebody else that is available. So that aspect is really bad because we sometimes, again, with you couple that with the inconsistency that we have. Sometimes we create loads of chances and we score no goals. Sometimes we create loads of chances and we score quite a few goals, like 3, 4 goals. And then now it's like, well, we don't have those guys, so I would assume we're less likely to create more chances. And we still have that consistency of inconsistency of, well, sometimes we play a couple games and we manage to only score a goal. And then, every once in a while, maybe we end up scoring 2, 3, on a good day. So it's hard to see how we are going to score the goals. Like, I do agree. But I don't know. We just need something to happen. We need something to hold us over at the very least for the next 2 matches. And we need to, I think we will get some sorts of chances. I don't think we'll get a lot. And, maybe it's a bit of luck that we need, or, I don't know what you want to call it, but we need people to score goals. Like, when the opportunity arises, if it's only 3, we need clinicalness. We need somebody to step up to the plate, to just have a day, to just have a game for the moment in time until we get our players back at the very least. Because I think right now, it looks quite grim. I think when we have our players back, like, it just feels like we have a way stronger chance at actually being able to do something, But when I look at the squad we have now, I'm just like, that this squad is cooked to a certain point. And it's like, this squad wouldn't get anywhere at all near the position we're in right now. So, I hope Sesko gets some chances. I hope he actually puts one into the net this time instead of missing. Cunha, he's got to have a better game. He can't have a shit game like he just had. Just can't do it. We need him. We don't have any other options. We're relying on these guys. So they just need to step up somehow, some way, but that's their job to figure it out. It's not ours. We're not the players. We're not going to play the mat. We're not stepping onto the pitch. That's their responsibility. They're the players. So they got to figure out how to improve their performances and improve their impact and make sure that they're doing a job for the team, especially at this difficult time. Like, listen, this is football is a team effort. It's a team sport. And it's a team sport in many different ways. Like, sometimes you are a backup player and you come on as a substitute. Sometimes you are a player, like right now, I would say, like, it's not just a responsibility to themselves, but it's also a responsibility to their teammates that aren't available to play. The players that are playing now, they have a responsibility to their other teammates that actually can't play right now and actually can't help the team move. They have a responsibility to go and do a job for them. Okay, because at the end of the day, we're one unit. We're one group. So they're out. You got to cover their ass for them because they can't help us right now on the pitch. You got to step up and take your opportunities and make sure you're getting these points while these people are out, so that when they come back, now we combined and now we can push on because you guys kept up, the sort of the momentum going. But without a creator, I find it very difficult. Like, I would even go so far as to say, like, Mbeumo and Diallo could be considered creators as well. So the way I look at it is, I'm like, we're down 5 creators. We're down 5 creators in our squad, and I'm just like, how do you win like 3? How do you win by like 3 goals? How do you put 3 goals in the net without any creators? I find it quite hard, so. He surrounds himself with comedians who are pretty unhinged, too. Listen, there's one thing that you could be unhinged, but there's another thing about, trying to press people He says he's from Moorside, like he's a local hood. United stands lost boys, so many of them. Well, yeah, I mean, they gotta do what they gotta do for themselves, I guess. Would you play a Martinez plus Cache in mids and then Euro and Heaven in a 4-2-4 formation against Leeds? We gotta be in the front foot. United absolutely can't stop letting the ball in. It's inevitable. Well, the worst part is that we're actually scoring first a lot as well. So, you know, I think a lot of the games, like even if you think back to last season, Cash, if I call you Cash, if that's all right. I think a lot of like if you look at a lot of the games last season, we weren't even scoring first. We were constantly conceding first, and then we were chasing games. Like now, right now, we're scoring first in a lot of the matches we're playing. The problem is that we can't keep the ball out of the net, like you're saying. Like, so I don't. I think the only answer we have for that, unless we find a bit of form, but I don't think we're going to find a bit of form of what we got going on with. When I mean bit of form, I mean defensively, from stopping the ball going into the net. I think the only way I think, like you say, that, you know, it's inevitable that the ball is going into the net. The only way we can fight against that is we do need to be on the front foot. We need to score multiple goals. You know, because it just seems guaranteed, no matter who we play, that the ball is going into our net at least once. And if the ball is going into our net at least once, well, one goal isn't enough for us, is it? So if the ball is averaging once into our net, that means that we need to be scoring 2 goals a game at the very least. And obviously, we've struggled at times like that, like to score more than 1 goal. We couldn't do it against Wolves. We couldn't do it against a few other teams. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, like 4-2-4. I worry a little bit about Lenny. He's out of form. He's at a lack of confidence. And I didn't really like that. I'm going to be quite honest. I didn't like that pairing when they were there next to each other. When Euro and Heaven were next to each other, I don't like it. I think it's too inexperienced. And I think with Euro being out of form, I don't think it's not strong enough. It's not strong enough. And like we're saying, we're conceding a goal anyway. So I kind of worry about that. At the same time, I think the Ugarte Casemiro midfield is quite limited. And people wanted to talk about, well, we played a 4-back against Newcastle and we were brilliant. I was like, first of all, I don't think we were that brilliant. All right. They talked about it like it was the most scintillating shit. I mean, I think it looked pretty good, right? You know, it was pretty good. There was a lot of space there, made me a little bit anxious because I was just like, I could see us getting exposed here, but it didn't really turn out like that. But I think people like forgot the second half or something, and they just like remembered the first half, because the second half we fell off a cliff. And we fell off a cliff, in my opinion, because we lost Mason Mount. And there's nobody else. So when we fell off a cliff in the second half at Old Trafford against Newcastle, well, when we played Wolves at Old Trafford, yeah, worst team, but that team, the first half against Newcastle, we had Mason Mount and we scored a goal. The second half, we fell off a cliff. I think we were probably a bit lucky that they didn't figure out how to score, because I would put it down that Newcastle would figure out how to score before Wolves figures out how to score. So I think we were lucky there. And then you take that same team that fell off a cliff in the second half against Newcastle and you put them against Wolves, but you start from the beginning, and we only managed to score 1 goal. And we allowed them to score as well. So I don't know. I think it's you know, it's very difficult for, like, I just see it like, I don't want to say impossible, but it just seems like it doesn't seem very favorable right now. It seems like it's going to be a massive struggle. And if we don't end up winning, like, I understand the ramifications from that because we need to win. But I can't say that I wouldn't be surprised, because I I'm like you. I'm like, I don't know how we're going to score. And we need to score probably 2 to 3 goals to win this match. You know, in this derby. Because I'm expecting Leeds to get one. Somehow, one way or another. Maybe we'll find a performance like against Palace with set piece goals. Well, that could also be the other aspect of it, Lawrence. It could also be the other aspect. Guys, please, real quick, if you didn't, can you please smash the like button? I greatly appreciate it. It's a massive help to the channel. So if you did that for us, thank you. Appreciate that. But, you know, that is another aspect that I was talking about last time. I was saying, like, listen, you know, we go play Wolves at home. And we expect 3 points, and it should be 3 points, and we find a way to, you know, play like shit and fuck it up. And then, you know, we go to this Leeds match, and everybody's like, you know, we couldn't beat Wolves. How are we going to beat Leeds away from home at Ellen Road? And then everybody's probably like, yeah, we're probably not even going to win. And then the team always somehow decides that now we'll put in a performance. You know, now we'll get a result. You know, now we'll grind through the job. You know, because they did that against Crystal Palace. Like, you're right. Like, when we went to go play Palace, I was all sorts of nervous. Because I thought, like, I was like, I don't know. I was like, you know, I was like, I could see us losing. Like, I didn't think that, you know, it was going to go quite well for us. The record against Crystal Palace was atrocious in recent times. And also, you know, just our away record was atrocious as well. So I was just like, everything is sort of leaning against us. And I was like, they're in better form than us. And we go there and, you know, was it pretty? No, it wasn't pretty, but we grinded out the result, which is important. And then when we need to do that, you know, against West Ham or against Everton or against Wolves when we're home, we seem to not do it. We seem incapable of doing it. But then you go and you say, well, we're worried about playing Leeds because they're in good form and, you know, we're down to bare bones and we just had that shit result against Wolves at home and now we're going to Ellen Road and it's just like, you know, how are we possibly going to pull anything out of this game? And then somehow they do it. You know, they're the most confusing team ever. Because I don't understand how we do that, but we seem to manage to do it. So I would tell you this as well, like, if we go there and we actually, like, put in a decently good performance and we walk out of there with a win, you know, and 3 points, I wouldn't be surprised either, because I kind of called it before we played Wolves. I said, listen, I said, I'm a bit worried with the lack of, I was hoping Mason Mount was there. I said, I'm a bit worried about the number of chances we're going to create if he's not there, because who's going to create? And that's exactly what happened. And at that time, before we played the Wolves match, I said, listen, I wouldn't be surprised if we fucked it up against Wolves and then, we go against Leeds and we actually put in a good performance. Because this is what we tend to do. I don't know how we do it. I don't know how it does. I don't know how it happens, but we just somehow we find a way to do it. And it's not even just under Ruben Amorim. I mean, this has been happening for like 4 managers in a row. That there's like games where it's just like, everybody says United's got no chance, and then we somehow do it, and then it's like we go and play a game, and we're like, surely this is 3 points, at home, and then we fuck it up, like, monumentally. Cash says we need to win the next 2 games. We do. Like, we needed to win the 3 games. I wanted 9 points. 9 points would have been very important. Like, and we need to win. It's not for the manager's sake. I think the manager is just tied into this, but I just want my team to take the next step, man. I'm tired of, like, missing the opportunity. Like, it's still, like, it's, for me, the biggest thing is it's still there. Like, please take it. Please, somebody just, like, answer the fucking call. Somebody, please just step up to the plate. Please, somebody, like, just step up, take the responsibility in the first team. Our captain's not there. We're missing a bunch of influential, but somebody please just step up. Do it for a game or 2. That's all we're asking. A game or 2, this game and the next game. And by that 3rd game, we should have a couple people back and we should be in better shape. But Euro and Heaven played together in the 3-4-2-1, but I believe in a back four they would be good. Only problem with Ugarte is he can't do 5-meter passes, yes, which leads to lack of fluidity. Martinez solved that. I do agree. So it is a bit of a conundrum. I think you're absolutely like, on the money here. It's just, which one ultimately gives us the better result. It's hard to say. But what you're saying makes absolute sense. And I would say the same thing. Like, it's not a thing against your, like, I don't hate Euro or anything like that, and I want both of them to play, and they both play good. And it might be worth the risk because I agree as well. Like Ugarte, the problem with Ugarte is that he can't play 5-meter passes, and if you can't play 5-meter passes, you ain't playing 25-meter passes. So that's what I say, like always about Ugarte. I'm like, listen, Ugarte, good defensively. Other than that, he's quite limited. He is a limited player in terms of like, it's almost a bit useless. Yeah, because for me, like as a midfielder, especially in a 2, like you got to be able to do a little bit of everything. You can't just be a defender because that only leaves one guy to do the job, and he's Cass. And listen, he's for a defensive mid. And maybe we're lucky because he's Brazilian and he played for Real Madrid. Like he has some skill in being able to like make passes forward and, sort of be part of the attack. But I'm like in a 2, I was like, you need 2 guys to be able to do that. You can't just have one guy doing that. And the other guy is just useless. And to me, that's where I say like, it's not to be mean, but it's just that when I view Ugarte, I'm like, he's a bit useless in that sense. Because it's like, dude, you are a midfielder and you literally can't make like 5-meter, 10-meter passes. Like, even if the guy is open, you somehow kick it to the other team. Like, that's not helpful to us at all. Like, we need better than that, So, I mean, Martinez, I think, is definitely one. I think he's more aggressive. I think he's more forward thinking. I think he's less scared. Because I think I think with Ugarte as well, he knows that he's not really that good at making these forward passes. So sometimes he tends not to do it. He just passes the ball sideways and short, safe passes to the side. Lisandro will pick up the ball, and the first thing he's doing, if his back is to goal, he's turning around and dribbling forward. And he's making a forward pass, and he's a better passer. So I don't know. To me, it's like, which one is the lesser of 2 evils? Or which one can you get away more? Because if you start Euro and Heaven in the back, and they're shaky, like they were in the 3-5-2, and maybe they're different in the 4 back. But if it's like that, well, then we might get exposed. And we might concede. In the flip side, we might not score, or we might not attack well, because we got Ugarte in the middle. But maybe we won't concede because Lisandro's back there. So, I don't know. It's a bit... I think I would probably go with the call of how you're saying. Try Lenny and Heaven back there and go with Lisandro in the midfield next to Casemiro and see how it goes. But, I kind of feel like it's a bit of a 50-50 shot. And, it's either going to work or we're going to get screwed out of it. Renoso says exactly my sentiments on the 4-2-3-1 as well. I'll add that most people just think we looked better because it's basic football. They can understand where the other formation confuses them. Well, I also think that you need a lot more, of a skill set to play in because it's not even about the 3-5-2 again. Like I always have these arguments. It's not really about the formation. It's about how you play in the formation. Okay, it's about what the instructions are to the players. So I feel like too many people are lost with the shape in terms of like, the number. Like I don't really hold that to such a high standing. It has an impact in certain cases because certain shapes can expose other shapes. So sure, so like I don't totally dismiss it, but I think there's always been too much focus on the 3-5-2 and the 4-2-3-1 because you can have those formations play however you want them and they can turn into whatever you want them. You can, when you go to kick off, you can have a 4-2-3-1, but in the middle of the game, you can be playing a 7-back. So, if you're telling people to sit back, if you're telling people to go up, you can literally be playing with one center back and no defenders, if that's how you want it to play. So, and I think with the way that his instructions and what he needs for the shape to work the way it does, you need to have a lot of different abilities because you need to do a couple different jobs. And where a 4-2-3-1, you can still complicate it, but also a 4-2-3-1, you could have it play very basic and it's more structured, right? The 4-2-3-1 is in general is just more structured by default, without any tactics, without any instructions. It's default, just structured because you have two defensive mids, and it's just more midfield. You have a attacking mid, you have the wingers, and you have the defenders, and you have one striker. So, to me, they say they complain about the 3-back and they complain about the wing backs and they complain about being defensive. I view a 4-2-3-1 as defensive as well because you're playing with one striker. So, and I don't really see that much of a difference in terms of a 3-4-2-1 and a 4-2-3-1. To me, is almost the same. It's basically almost the same. I mean, you're still playing with one striker. You're still playing with about 4 midfielders. I would class them as central players. 2 holding, 2 attacking, and then you have wingers that are essentially they're like right mids, left mids that they bomb up and down the pitch, which when we were playing a 4-back with Ali, we were doing that anyway. The right back and left back were going up and coming back down. So it's like the same, They don't want to admit that, where most teams form into a 3 at the back position anyway. They get confused because of the team sheet. He fixed it. Don't worry about it, Axe. Cashez, as an unpopular opinion, I believe that if we had all the players fit and no injuries / AFCON, we would be sitting comfortably at 3rd. Amorim definitely improved goals, but he has done 0 for defense. Well, yeah, I think, listen, one thing at a time as well. I think the attack in terms of chance creation has improved. And I think actually it can improve even further because I don't think we were creating this many chances. I don't think we created this many chances quite clearly when he came in last year. I don't think we created this many chances under Ten Hag's team. Or, I don't know about Ali's team because that's further removed, so I'd have to look that up. But certainly fresher in my mind, Ten Hag's team, I think we create way more chances. And the thing is that we just need the conversion rate has to go higher. But this is sort of a bit new in terms of the amount of chances we're creating. So I think once you continue to improve on it, that conversion rate, once you get it closer to hitting, I mean, it's going to be great. Then the defense thing needs to be figured out. But I don't know. Maybe we'll get an aspect and we'll see at some point in the season, and then we'll see how it goes. Because, Lisandro is back now. Hopefully, DeLit comes back. And, even Harry Maguire be fit. And we'll get Mazawari back. And once we could play our strongest defensive line possible, I would like to see how it looks at that point as well. And see what happens, because I feel like maybe we would be getting a couple more clean sheets. Maybe if you had like Lisandro, Matej DeLit, and then whoever you want to insert as sort of the third person for playing a 3-back, or for playing a 4-back, Lisandro and DeLit for me at center backs, and Luke Shaw at left back, and Delo or Maz at right back. Maybe it would do very, very good. Cash says, my 2 cents are if you want to be the best club in the Premier League again, you have to sign the best players. We always sign third, fourth, or fifth options. Hence, we finish mid-table. Amorim means Sir Alex. He needs 5 to 700 million. Well, it's funny you say that, Ax, because my father says that a lot. He always complains that we're always signing fourth, fifth, sixth choice. Yeah. And it's not that I disagree with it. It's just that how how do we sign the best players when we can't to a certain degree? Like, we might be able to get one of the best players out of, like, if there's 5, maybe we get one. Maybe. But as you've seen, like, we just lost out to, and I'm talking about recent times. What's happened in the past is, it's in the past, and I think we're operating a little differently. But you look at somebody like Semenyo. I think Semenyo is a very good player. Well, we apparently couldn't compete in that department because we can't offer him trophies. I think he's a top player in the Premier League. He's been a top player in the Premier League. That's a player that I would have liked to get. I think we could have definitely used him. And, I think we definitely needed somebody like that. But, we can't get him. They don't want to come to us. So I do agree, like, if you want to be the best, you do have to get the best players. But I think that's why it has to be a process in due time, because we're not able to get the best players. We need to take them level to level until we get close to a place where we're close to being the best, but we're not the best. And then we can entice the best players to come to us to turn us into the best. Like a couple of the teams, certainly like Liverpool since their resurgence, since Sir Alex retired, and like, they actually started doing well again. Like, there was a large period of time where, like, they couldn't get the best players. They'd get some good players, but they couldn't get the best players because they weren't the best. We were the best. And now it's like the opposite. Now it's like, because they've won Premier League and they won Champions League. Like, people see them as the best, so they want to join the best. So, and we're not that. So we need to build it back up, little by little. We need consistency as well. We need consistency. So, we're far too inconsistent to sell anybody some sort of, people don't want, people don't view like chaos as something attractive, which is, I think, a word that I would describe Manchester United as chaotic. It's chaotic. It's chaos. Like, you just never know. Like, you get Ten Hag. You get Ten Hag in the season before that we had a shit finish. Ten Hag comes in. He gets us to, third. And then the season after we end up in 8th. And then he ends up getting sacked. And then we managed to finish at 15th. And now we're in a season where we're in 6th. It's chaotic. Like, players don't want that. Or most players don't want that. They are, their career is only so long and they only have a couple opportunities. Like, you sign a contract that's 5 years. And it's very rare that it goes all the way down to 5 years, but at least a minimum 3, depending on the circumstances. So you're going to waste 3 years there, and, you might not be, if it doesn't go well and you're part of a team that sucks or fails, then you're gonna, you're probably gonna sink down, and then you're not gonna be as attractive to other teams, and then your options, outside of that are gonna be quite limited. So yeah, I mean, a lot of players just don't want, they don't want that. So, it's the manager who should play a role in bringing best players, but the style he plays is boring, no vision, players out of position. Why would anyone come? Well, I think you're right in the fact that there are definitely other managers with a certain name that would definitely help us bring in some players, for sure. that obviously quite clearly Ruben Amorim can't do because he's just not that level of a coach. He only has 6 years experience, and he was kind of pretty unproven to a certain degree. Like, he had great success in Portugal. He was having success with the Portuguese team in the Champions League, for the level that they were and the results that they were doing, and games that they were winning and stuff like that. But that could only take him so far. I mean, when you look at him, you talk about, because I was thinking about this the other day. Let's put it into perspective. So somebody was saying, Zidane would be a fantastic manager for Manchester United because he has sort of the aura, the iconicness. Obviously, people will look up to him. And, he already did it at Real Madrid, and he managed, all those star players with the egos. So for a club like Manchester United that has huge pressures on it and huge demand, and needing to get players to even just, basically follow his every word, it's fucking, it's Zizou, man. It's Zidane. Like, everybody's going to be like, whatever you want me to do, I'll do it. You're a legend. Which is one thing that Ruben doesn't have, for sure, because, he wasn't, he was an average player. He wasn't like anything close to Zidane. And, it's two different things. So, but I would also say, listen, I think where we are right now, we don't have a lot of pull, my friend. So, like, I don't even know maybe how much the manager could actually impact that for now. I think there's a couple maybe out there that you could say would have great influence, but there's not many of them. And, maybe somebody like a Pep, but we all know Pep ain't never coming to us. So, like, that's just one out of the handful probably off of the list. Maybe like an Ancelotti. But also, I think at the same time, listen, you could have the good manager, but it only takes somebody to say, yeah, but look at the last 12 years and look at the last 2 years under INEOS, for them to kind of not be too enticed to come, especially if there's a City or there's like an Arsenal or there's a Liverpool and they're like, well, we literally just won the Premier League like last season, or we've literally been in the Champions League for like 7 seasons in a row now. So like, what you gonna do? Take a shot on them, or you're gonna come with us and it's guaranteed? But then you say, like, except Lemon, Sesko, Delit, and Casse, everyone else is out of position. At least play 4-2-3 when all the players are back and see how the team does. Sometimes I feel United is too big for Amorim. Well, it could be. It could be, because I would say that I think United is probably too big for everybody at the current moment. Well, I don't really think that there's anybody out there that wouldn't come here and at some point, whether it's, in the beginning or later on, I don't think that they wouldn't hit a point where they're going to massively struggle and they're going to face the sack. I think, listen, it is a massive job for him, okay? And it's not easy. Like, this is a large institution. He is a young and inexperienced manager in that respect. When you look at some of these other managers, some of these guys, okay, they're not world champions, but they've been doing it for 20 years. They've learned a certain thing or two that he quite clearly doesn't. And to be inexperienced and to be at this football club, I mean, we kind of saw it with Solskjaer. It's a bit similar to that. The only difference is, well, I think Amorim has more tactics than Solskjaer, because I don't think Ali had too many tactics. But what Ali Gunnar Solskjaer did have is a more understanding of United and sort of the way that the team is supposed to play. So I think that helped him out massively, because it was sort of a copying of a blueprint to a certain degree. A couple minor tweaks to modernize it, and just let it happen. But obviously, Ruben has his own thing, and he's coming here to try and implement it. So I think that's part of the problem, though, is like, again, the discrepancy for me, the biggest argument is if you're gonna get somebody like Ruben, you need to be able to spend the money and be willing to spend the money to change the team so that he's not playing the players out of position like you're saying, my friend. And that to me is the point between a rock and a hard place. Is like, it doesn't make sense to me to bring him in for him to play a different way because we don't have the players. It's one or the other. Either we don't bring him in because we're not going to spend the money and we're not going to transform the team, or we bring him in because we're going to spend the money and we're going to transform the team. I don't agree with bringing him in and him sort of doing his thing to try and get by, to get to summer windows so that we can transfer. It doesn't make a lot of sense because I feel like we were kind of there before with a couple other managers. Like, I kind of feel like the same thing was a bit true for Ten Hag, where like he came in with this idea that like he's like, I'm going to play like this for now. I'm going to get these players and then I'll change it. And that never happened because you never actually get there. Yo, have we signed anyone, says Grace? No, not yet. Amorim doesn't have United DNA clear. I'm not Amorim out, but he needs to change the approach and start dropping Bruno, Delo, Shaw, Cassidy to show vision. Else bring in Unai or Glasner. But this is what I'm saying. Like, I don't think Unai would succeed. I don't think Glasner would succeed. I think all of them would end up probably getting sacked. And also, again, like, dropping Bruno, Delo, Shaw, and Casse to show vision for who? Who are we dropping them for? Who are we dropping Delo and Shaw for? Who's playing instead of them? Who are we playing instead of Casemiro? We don't got people. We don't have players. Like, you don't think those guys are good? The guys under them are not better than them. They wouldn't do a better job. Yeah, I saw those tactic books against Grimsby. That was a joke. I mean, that shouldn't even... Listen, against Grimsby, they shouldn't even need a manager there. Again, like I always say this, like, bro, those players, every single one of them is a disgrace. You don't need tactics to play Grimsby. We lost that match because the Grimsby players wanted it a lot more than our players. And our players couldn't be fucking bothered to be playing Grimsby. Until they got in a situation where they're like, oh shit, we might actually lose this. And then they tried to try. And then we ended up going in the penalties and we lost in the penalties. Embarrassingly. You play Grimsby, you should be able to do it without a manager. If you're that level of a footballer in the Premier League, at Manchester United, I wouldn't even give them tactics. I tell them, go out there and go fuck them up. They should be able to do it. So who do you think is at fault? INEOS for bringing in a manager that plays 3-4-2-1, or the manager who doesn't want to adapt and stop favoritism, or the players for underperforming? Well, I blame INEOS, really. I think it's a bad call from INEOS because I don't think you make the change that you make. Again, for me, it's like, bro, he plays the way he plays. And I don't believe in managers being brought into a club to play a way that they clearly don't play. I don't think that works quite well. I don't think that that's a recipe for success. Like, if Ruben has never played a 4-2-3-1, and you hire him, and he plays a 3-4-2-1, and you tell him come play a counterattack 4-2-3-1 at Manchester United. That's what we want you to play. And he's like, all right, well, I guess I got to make some shit up now because I got to create something for this team, and I've never actually implemented it in me managing yet because I've been doing this system and this formation. I don't think that that's like a recipe for it to go well. I think that would end in disaster. For me, the way I see it and view it, I think it's Ineos' fault because everybody knew what he played. He was straight up with them. He told them this is how he's going to do it. They agreed to it. And from my knowledge, and even from the Liverpool thing, you know, he had an interview to go to Liverpool to take over for Klopp before they hired Slot. And he told the Liverpool people the same thing that he told our people. And ultimately, I believe his name is Michael Edwards at Liverpool. They said that while it has nothing to do against him in terms of like, you know, his qualities, they were just like, if we go that route, it's going to cost a lot more money and it's going to take a lot more time because of what we have in the squad, the turnover for it. It's going to be super expensive to change all of that to fit what he's going to bring. Okay, I don't think that's any different. And I think it's absolutely true. But I don't think it's any different from Liverpool to us. Like, we had a certain type of players. We played a certain way. They bring him in. Now, to make that change, that's going to take a lot of money. It's also going to take a good amount of time. If we didn't have the money for it, and we weren't going to able to make significant changes quickly, and then you're also not going to give him the time, well, then why did we do it? You know, it doesn't make sense. Because then ultimately, it's just going to end up failing anyway, right? Gray says, I literally don't give a shit anymore. I hate this club. I don't want to have a good year personally. Well, you should maybe learn to just, you know, do that regardless of what they do. You know? Why would you drop Delo? He's the best right wing back in the world. I don't know. He wants to drop Delo, so I don't need the stress. Why stress about United? The owners are shit, and messing our club fans aren't go to get them out. Well, I mean, I feel you on that for sure. I would like that the fans would stand back up, but maybe in a couple of years, Grace. Maybe in another year or two, depending on what happens. I think there's some people like me that are still trying to see if you know, INEOS are actually like gonna do something, or you know, it's just a load of horseshit or whatever. But I think in about, you know, considering this is year 2, by the time we get to year 4, I mean, depending on where we are, like let's just say like, you know, we're still in a very shitty situation. And then by year 4, I think that's it. Like, I think, you know, the entire fan base will be INEOS out. The protests will probably come back. It'll be, you know, well, I mean, we'll see. But one more option or the fan or opinion. The fans for going in for games, buying shirts, not protesting to get rid of the owners and signing Amorim. Chance when we start winning. I think it's the fans who are to blame. Well, I think there's a responsibility all over the place, my friend. I mean, I used to yell at the people that own the season tickets, because there's an aspect to the season ticket in terms of that. Listen, the season ticket, you have to pay for that ticket from, you know, before the season starts. And then obviously it's good for the whole season. But the thing is that's guaranteed money. So everybody that owns a season ticket, what happens is you're like, even if you stage a protest and, you know, you empty Old Trafford for a match, they don't really give a shit, because the season tickets, they already have guaranteed money for the entire season. So it's an issue there. Now, I used to have a big issue with these people, but at the same time, it's not my position to attack these people that have season tickets. Okay, they some of them have had them in their family for generations. You know, grandfathers, great grandfathers. Like, you can't be telling them to give that up. Okay, and you know, I feel their pain in terms of, you know, why should they be put in a position to give such a thing up because of these stupid ass owners, these greedy bastards that have come in? You know, you know. Ultimately, if they get to a point where they feel upon themselves to make that sacrifice for their football club, I will always back it, but we can't attack each other for them not doing such things. Even people that buy the kits and stuff like that, I understand, and I always used to say the same thing. Don't buy the kits. You're helping the Glazers. Don't buy the kits. Why are you supporting the Glazers? But at the same time, it's like, you know what? We shouldn't be in this fucking position anyway. We shouldn't have to choose between doing things that we love for our football club and, trying to get the owners out. Like, we shouldn't, like what? Like, you can't buy your kids a kit of their favorite player when they're 7 years old. You can't buy them a kit of their favorite player because now we're supporting the Glazers. So you got to tell them, sorry, no kits. Like, that's fucking shit. That, it's, but I get it. Like, if everybody stopped all at once, yeah, like, yes, it would make a difference. But, attacking people for it, it just makes it worse. At some point, the general fan base has to come to a consensus where they just decide to sacrifice those things on their own accord, and say, you know what, like the kit ain't worth it. I got to sacrifice the kit for the club, or I got to sacrifice my season ticket for the club. The season ticket thing is very hard though. So, fans are wimps. A couple of signs saying Glazers out is just pathetic. Do you think I could get an autograph from Joel and Jim? You probably could, to be honest. You probably could. Sell Bruno this summer. Do you like Hackney? Hackney is good. Bruno this summer. Well, here's the thing. Bruno could go in January. He has a release clause. And the release clause is for any team outside of the Premier League. So, literally, any team outside of the Prem can literally just come and say release clause. And then obviously it's up to him. Now, I don't think he would necessarily accept it in the middle of the season. I think he would want to end the season. But he does have a release clause. So, he could go in January. Don't think it'll happen, but could, maybe, possibly. I mean, it's there to be activated. And then in the summer, I think it could happen as well. Like, he might choose to go. I think, listen, with him, the fact that he has a release clause, and I think he put that in there on purpose because I don't necessarily blame him. Listen, he's given a number of years to Manchester United of his career. And, there's this new ownership or part new ownership here. And, listen, I mean, like, again, we talked about if you don't spend money to compete, or you can't spend money to compete, then, how are we going to do what people demand of? So I think if we don't get in Europe and the summer looks quite shit in terms of, he's going to be off with Portugal to the World Cup. By the time he comes back, he's looking around and he's like, this club ain't fucking serious. We didn't make it into Europe. We're not getting any fucking signings. This season's probably going to be shit again. Maybe Ruben gets sacked as well, and he's not even there. Maybe somebody else is there. And he'll just be like, no, I'm out. I have a release clause. Call up the Saudis. I think it's a different release clause for Saudis, but, get the agent, tell him, listen, anybody want me? I got a release clause. Pull up. Remember, there were protests planned, and then United announced we are going in for Baleba, and the protests were called off. That was surprising that we still believe in the spins. It's not surprising to me. And because that's what it is, Cash. It's not surprising. I've seen it happen too many times, I was a part of those things. Not physically, but like, dude, I was in online campaigns for years trying to make an online movement because I was like, listen, I can't do anything at the ground, but I was like, I could try to do something social wise and spread like awareness online, and maybe you can get people to understand to stop buying the merch. And maybe we do some sort of a, TV blackout as well, where people just across the world don't tune in to watch the game on television, and we just black it out completely, and just drop the numbers massively. You're not going to get it. You're not going to be able to get everybody to do that. But if you get a large enough amount of people, emailing. I used to email sponsors all the time, every day, and I used to get people to do email campaigns where we would just bombard one company that was shirt sponsor, sleeve sponsor, some sort of sponsor. We'd bombard their emails, talking, telling them, review bombing them, which is illegal apparently, but I didn't know at the time. Review bombing them for doing partnership with the Glazers and Manchester United and stuff like that. But it was always the same. You make one big money signing, and 75% of those people are just like, well, we'll give it a shot. So, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. It's because all people want is they just want the club to be good again. And I think some of them are still very fickle in that they believe that it's only a couple of signings, or it's only like a manager away, or it's only like 1 to 2 years. And so when those things happen, they're like, well, you know what? Let's see what happens with this. And then it fails, and ultimately they come back to the same spot, and the same thing happens over and over again. So, yeah, Aiden Hackney of Middlesbrough. Yeah, I think he's pretty good. I would bring him in. I think he's, good young talent. Why not? I think he would fit with the project. So, who is Hackney? I can sell Bruno if he is going to play in mids, not a 10 or a cam. There are better mids out there than Bruno. Well, yeah, he should be playing his position anyway, but I would have taken the 100 million for him in the summer. I think it was a massive mistake that they didn't try to force him for it. I think they needed to be real about it. Like, I would have been real about it. I've been like, Bruno, I love you, but listen, we're rebuilding here, and we got 100 million, on the table. Like, we're not going to get this again, and obviously we have some financial, restrictions, and we're just moving in a new direction. So I thank you for everything you've done, but like, we got to take this 100 million. So really think about it. In terms of like, you might not want to move there for your family or whatever it is, but like, think about it, because we're actually looking to do this. And I feel like if he did that, he probably would have left. But no tier 2 players anymore. We need Anderson, Wharton, Stiller, Valverde, or someone like that. No, but we need both, broskies. We need both, man. We don't have a conglomerate squad. Like, somebody needs to be the starter. Somebody needs to be the backup. We don't got any squad depth. The starters we have now, some of them ain't good enough. I don't even think they would be good enough for the bench. So, Aiden Hackney is a good young player. Like, he's like 21, I think, 20. Bright future. Has some good ability. Definitely somebody you can buy and be part of your squad for sure. But then obviously, yeah, we need, top targets as well. So, but there's no chance in hell that we'll ever get a Valverde. And again, somebody like Elliot Anderson or Wharton, if we don't finish in Europe, if we don't finish in a European spot, they're not coming to us. They won't, because as soon as Liverpool or Chelsea or Manchester City, who these clubs are all interested in those players, as soon as they decide to go for them, we just can't compete. We just can't offer, a good-looking project. So we definitely, and we can't offer them any recent success because we don't have any. So we can't really compete on that front. Anderson will cost 100 million. Listen, it's not really about the cost to a certain degree. I don't even think they'll come to us. I think if we're not in a European spot, I think Elliot Anderson will say the same thing that that striker that went to Chelsea and a couple other people, like even Victor Gyökeres, I think they will say the same thing. I want to play Champions League European football. You guys are not in it. You can't offer it to me. I'm not coming. And then that's it. And even if we offer them 300,000 a week, which we're not going to do because that's not what INEOS does, so they're not going to do that. And Brian said, make your best offer for Baleba. What's your offer? 70, 80 million? I would not pay 100. I don't think he's worth 100. I would try and get him for 70, 80, 70, 80. 70 plus incentives that can rise to 80. Maybe rise to 85, depending on the incentives. 55 million for Baleba, 60 with add-ons. Well, maybe, but I think there's no chance in hell that they let him go for 55, 60. I think with 75 to 80, I think you could maybe get him out of there. I think maybe. Considering that they want to hold out for 100, there's no way you get him for 55, you know what I mean? And maybe they sell him somewhere else, I don't know. If we could scout, we could find 3 new mids for 100, 125 million combined. I agree. And, I've been arguing, Grace, you haven't been around for a little bit, but I've been saying what we need is to find a bunch of Senny Lemonses. And we should be able to find a bunch of Senny Lemonses, because they definitely exist and they're definitely there. And we might even have some already on our radar, but we need to make the calls on them, you know? To me, players like Sunny Lemons is how you build this football club back. That's step 1 of the building back process. Because you need guys like that aren't going to cost a shit ton, that aren't going to necessarily... Listen, it's less spend, less risk in terms of getting fucked over. If we're in a bad financial situation, it's less risk to the financial situation. But he came in, he's made a direct impact. And we didn't pay a lot for him, and he's 23 years of age. So there's got to be a couple players out there that play in the outfield that can have the same impact for around the same amount of money, and that's your base right there. Boom. And you should be able to finish with a cohesive, strong base of a team like that. You should be able to get top 4, and when you get top 4, then we could go to the next level. And we'd be like, look, we got Champions League. We're building. We have this going for us. Come join us. You're a massive part of the project. We're going to ascend to the top. You sell it to them, and then they join us. And then we're looking better. I'm sorry, my eye is really messed up. But do you think Amorim started liking Delo more after finding out of their past relationship? I mean, I don't even think that's real, to be honest. But he's 23. Acne is 23? There's 21. Chelsea spent $2 billion over 2 years. Arteta had 6 seasons to close and close to $1 billion. Liverpool spent over $400 million after winning the league, and City spent well over $100 million and $175 million last January. And 60 plus 15 and sell on, says Grace, for Baleba. Yeah, and I think, Grace, that's just like my whole thing, that part about Chelsea spending money. Like, we have to spend money. So, if these guys think that they are going to come and do it the cheap way, it's not going to happen. This is what I'm saying. Like, it's my whole point of the show, Grace, for January. It's just like, you are not going to spend money and say the team that we bought for the summer is good enough to get 4th place or 5th place. It's good enough to finish there. And when you get to the halfway point, everybody spends more money to improve even further, and you spend no money, and you think you're going to finish in that spot. You're not going to finish in that spot. And there's a certain level, like, listen, at one point, we had the highest wage bill in the league, and we had nothing to show for it because it was really, bad. Like, we bought the wrong players. We gave the wrong players too much money. Okay? But something we need to pay attention to is, listen, that wage bill can only be so low. If you have a wage bill that is averaging a mid-table club wage bill, like it is on par with mid-table clubs, Well, when we start becoming or we finish as a mid-table club, it's because we're spending like a mid-table club. So the spending of money needs to be spent wisely, but wisely doesn't mean that you are frugal with it either. You need to spend it responsibly. You just need to be smart about it. Like somebody that is worth 70 million, you can pay, like it's not a problem to pay 70 million, but they got to be close to 70 million. You know, not something like Anthony where he was really valued at 30 million and we paid 80. You know, that's fucking stupid. We bought Dorgu and made him sit on the bench to train Delo. That's the response. Well, listen, Dorgu isn't that great in that position anyway. If you want more lemons, they're next to the oranges. Y Scout, Ederson plus Neves plus Manu, Kone plus Stiller plus Agume plus Gallagher, cost under 120 combined, complete revamp. Yeah, but then also you have to see how that actually works out, bro. You know what I mean? You have to actually see how that works out. Plus, that's a lot of changes. So I would probably tell you that even if we were to do that, it probably wouldn't gel well for a season, you know. That's a lot. That's a lot of changes, a lot of new players, and they're all playing in a similar position. You know, you can't change too much at once either. It ain't gonna gel well. You know, I think that's what Liverpool did this season, and I think that's why they are the way they are. They took what Klopp had. They used what Klopp had last season. They didn't need to change nothing. They went this season, and they made a number of significant signings, and they tried to change a lot all at once. I don't think it's gone well for them. We gave Ali Bruno and Agallo in January, and he finished top 4. Why can't INEOS sign at least one good centre mid in January for Amorim? Well, they should. And let's see if they do. I think they need to. You know what I mean? And honestly, for Ali, well, listen, Agallo was shit. Yeah? So, like, you know, that to me is a disgrace. Like, Agallo is a disgrace. Wow, Weghorst is a disgrace. Like, those players, you know, those types of players, that's not real. They don't count for me. That's not serious. But I did say earlier that, you know, Bruno was the only one that we actually did in January that was a catalyst that made an impact. And this is what I'm talking about. We need somebody like a Bruno, okay? To a certain extent. It's got to be a signing. We didn't break the bank for Bruno Fernandes, okay? And the return we got on him was well worth it, okay? Because he was a guy that came January, made an instant impact, massive boost, and helped us for the rest of the season. And then went on to the future into the, you know, the upcoming seasons. He's still part of our team. So it's like we need the same right now. We need one signing that you don't got to break the bank, but you need a signing. And if there's not one signing, maybe you need 2 of them. Cut the price in half. But we need a catalyst this season. If these guys think, because this is where I worry a little bit. So Jim Ratcliffe said at some point in the beginning of the season, or maybe right just before the season started, he said that he believed that this squad was good enough to finish in top 4, top 5 spot. He believes that. Now, if he still believes that in January, but he's mistaken if he's not taking into an account that everybody else is about to go buy a bunch of different players and strengthen. Okay? And as we can see, it might be, it might not, but why you want to take that gamble? Why you want to take that chance? Because we're sort of teetering there, but we haven't been able to sort of break through the roof yet. Okay? Why would you want to take that gamble? why would you not go and say, there's a guy out there for 30, 35 million. We can bring him into the team now. He'll be part of the team in the future, and he can make an impact immediately. He can give us a push. We need one midfielder that's a passer and one midfielder that's a powerful ball carrier. They also need to, I mean, they kind of got to do a little bit of everything, Grace, as well. I mean, listen, they can't not make passes like Ugarte, yeah, because then it's almost the same thing. Instead of, you know, defensive, but yeah, powerful ball carrier. They should be able to pass. They need to defend. They need to do a little bit of everything. Would you keep Bruno if we played a 4-2-3-1? I would only sell Bruno for the money. My whole thing about selling Bruno is if we're getting a certain amount of cash, and I can use that cash to reinvest it into the squad in a way that makes sense, then I'm selling Bruno. So to me, it doesn't matter what we play realistically. To me, it's all about the money and how you use that money to reinvest it into the team. Because ultimately, I think that's what we need to do. And that's what I would have done in the summer. Now, he has a release clause, so you can only get a certain amount of money. But I think for the Saudi Arabian teams, I think they have a different release clause. I think there's a release clause for European clubs, and I think that's about like 56 million or something like that pounds. And I think there's another release clause that's separate for the Saudi Arabian teams. Or if it's not a release clause, they don't have access to that 56 million pound release clause, so they would have to pay a premium. So if that even happens, like if we even have a sniff at that, if a Saudi club comes in the summer and says, we'll give you 90, 10 million less than we wanted to, or maybe 80, I'd take it. I think you have to take it. I think it was a mistake that they didn't take it. Neves for 20 million and Baleba would be solid. Well, yeah, I mean, listen, Neves for January, 20 million. I think, what's wrong with that? You know? It's 20 million. The guy is, what, 27, 28 years old? You would say, listen, if we're using fucking Casemiro at the age he's at, what's wrong with this guy? I guess it would just depend on the wages, because you know how they are about these wages. And, you know, what you don't want is to give him such a high wage at that age that when he gets to like 33, we have a hard time like moving him on or something if we want to move him on. Because we don't want to be getting stuck with players as well. So please look up Stiller's stats. He's amazing, and he would definitely end up for at Real or Barca bar next season. I've looked up his stats before. 20 for Neves is idiotic because he's free next season. Yeah, but you know, beggars can't be choosers, and if we need somebody now, we can't really wait to next season, can we? Like, you know, I talked about this before. Like, what if Neves is a difference in terms of if we finish in 4th or 5th, or we finish in like 7th? You know, those are big implications. There's money, a lot of money from those positions. We will either get or lose. The attractiveness of the football club will change as well. I mean, if we can go into next season and say, well, we got more money, we finished in a Champions League spot, and we're in the UCL, you know, we're in a way better position to sell ourselves to players that we quite clearly obviously need going forward, you know. Ugarte has been good last 2 games. I think that the thing again about Ugarte is, like, I don't say that he's bad in terms of that, like, he's I know what he is. He's just a defensive player. That's what he is. Like, he's good at the defensive side of the game, but he is very limited in terms of the other aspect of a midfielder, which is, you know, his passing range is not good at all. And and he doesn't really, he can't really drive forward with the ball either. So he's quite limited, which I think is an issue, especially with what we're playing, in a 2. I think in a 3, I think he's probably good in a 3 because there's 2 other guys in there and they can do other jobs, and you can have somebody like him limited to do a specific job. But in a 2, you need to be able to do a little bit of everything. And he quite clearly can't do a little bit of everything. He can only do, one aspect, really, which is the defensive side. The other side, he can't really pass. He's not really good at that. He's not really good at driving forward with the ball. He's not really good at carrying. So, defensively, I think, listen, I think he's always there to make a tackle. I think he can win the ball back. So, in that aspect, I think he can have a good game. But, when I look at the team right now, and I'm like, I wish I had somebody else other than Ugarte, because I'm just like, we need somebody, especially with no Mount and stuff like that. If we had a creator, maybe it wouldn't be so bad, but we don't even have a creator. And then I'm like, now I feel like we're a bit, handicapped in the midfield in terms of like, we have like 1.5 guys for the attack. Like, there's Cass and Ugarte. I just feel like they can't do much. But that was an amazing show. Thank you for taking time to read my comments on your show. I'll be back tomorrow again. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribed so you come back. I appreciate you, joining the community and getting involved and giving me your comments. And actually, making you made really good points. You asked some very good questions. So, you contributed nicely to the channel. So, I'm very happy to have you here, and welcome. We might not go live tomorrow. So that's the thing. Okay. But just be on the lookout. Definitely listen. I meant to say this, but obviously I went way over the time. We're at like 3 hours and 46 minutes, which I never intended to do, but sometimes I'm a man of the people, and if you guys want to keep having a conversation, I'll keep having a conversation. But real quick, let's sort it out. So obviously, tomorrow is Saturday. I might go live, I might not go live. If I was to go live, it would be at 8:15 p.m. UK time. So whatever time that is for you, for wherever you live, figure it out. But I might not go live. And then if we do go live, the next time for sure guaranteed to go live is going to be after the Leeds match. Right after the Leeds match ends, the match that we play against Leeds, I will be live to do what I call the Red Devil recap, which we will do the match reaction to Leeds. Man and the people, it's 5:30 a.m. here in India. Okay, so you're in India. Yeah, so whatever time that, I don't know the difference. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So it's what? It's 12 a.m. in the UK right now. So you guys are like 5 hours ahead of the UK in India. Right? Am I right? So whatever that is. But he said, I'm subscribed from a long time, GGMU. What? All right, well, appreciate it. You should be happy, Cash. Eric normally bullies people. No, I don't bully people. Okay, yeah, so, yeah. Because I don't know if I'm going to go live. Obviously, I don't know if you could see, but this eye is a bit messed up, and it's a pain in the ass, and, I don't know if you could tell, but, yeah, this eye, it's got a thing going on. It's fucked up. So it is kind of pain in the ass, so I might just, like, not stream tomorrow and just sort of take a break. The lights don't help in my eyes and shit. But it is the transfer window, so if there's some significant movement, if it's a big news day, I will go live at 8:15. I just won't do a long live show. But guaranteed 100%. I'm not going to do a watch along. I was doing some watch alongs, but I'm not going to do a watch along for the Leeds match because it's too early for me. And I'm just going to be honest and real. I tried to do this last time. I totally overslept, okay? The match is at 7:30 in the morning here. For me to do the watch along, I got to be up 2 hours before that to prep everything. and get everything to go. Okay, so I'm not gonna be up at 5:30 in the morning. It's just not gonna happen to me. So I'm just not. I'm not gonna do a watch along for the Leeds game. We'll probably end up doing a watch along for the Burnley match. Later on down in the week after. But we will do a Red Devil recap. So match recap, player, game analysis. We'll talk about it. We'll vote man of the match, player ratings if you want to do them, and all that good stuff. So we'll be live directly after the Leeds match. Let's go and trash Leeds 3-1. I hope you do, man. I hope you do. You can get glasses for it, and we can laugh at you. I had glasses somewhere, to be honest. I don't wear glasses. I have blue light glasses. But yeah, it's just I got a sty. It's on this eye. I got a sty. It'll go away, in a couple of days, but it's just it's a pain in the ass. So but yeah, other than that, listen guys, thank you, and ladies and gentlemen, ladies and guys and ladies, whatever. Listen, thank you. I appreciate all of you. I hope everybody had a good New Year. To the ones that I didn't see before we had the New Year, I hope everybody had a good New Year's Eve. I hope everybody is in sort of good spirits for the New Year. Try and be positive. Try and make some big changes. Try and get things done. We're just starting out. It's day 2. We're day 2 in. But yeah, listen, thank you for supporting the channel as always. I appreciate it very much. Thank you for smashing the like button, all the people that smashed the like button. Thank you to all the people that took the time to get in the comments. Thank you to all the people that took the time to just, if you're watching in the background and you ain't commenting, thank you as well. I mean, I appreciate all aspects. Anyway you choose to support this channel is always greatly appreciated. So if you watch us silently, that's great. If you're a chatty one, that's great as well. We like those. And if you're new and you just subscribed as well, thank you for that. We greatly appreciate it. If we win, I'll give 10 rating to all, and if we lose 1 rating for all, it's extreme. Oh boy, you're gonna fit right in with Axe Lord. No middle ground. Yeah, you're gonna fit right in with Axe Lord. Cash. You're gonna fit right in with Axe Lord. He's an extreme one, that guy. He's an extreme one, that guy. Cash. He demands we win the Champions League and the Premier League now. He demands it right now for it to happen now. So there's no middle ground with him, that's for sure. No, I don't think you like that though. You seem pretty level-headed, and pretty fair in your takes. So yeah, everybody have a good night. Stay safe. Be well. Be on the lookout. We have a Discord as well. If you're not in the Discord and you want to join the Discord, link is in the channel bio, and I will drop it down underneath this video. So if you want to join that Discord, you go right ahead. I'll post it after I end the video. But other than that, listen, we'll either see each other tomorrow or we'll see each other in 2 days. Take care, be good, stay safe until then, and hopefully we get this dub, man. Hopefully we win. We need it. We need the points. And let's see if we could get it done. But yeah, other than that, good night. Good morning from India. Good morning in India. Good night everywhere else, I guess.